Welcome back to the Come Up Top Pod. We're back this time on Sunday. We took a week off, and we've got a special guest. It's not Sean Davian like we said it was going to be because our producers suck. But it is the inarguably more decorated Kristi Williams, the head coach of the defending 5A state champion in Blue Springs South. You got 10 seasons as a head coach, if I'm correct. I had to pull that up on Max Preps.
I think it's 11.
Might be 11.
I think it's 11.
Nonetheless, the record is still insane. 224-72 in 11 or 10 seasons. We'll check on that later. Including back-to-back 30-win seasons, 3 state championship years. You had 4 seasons ranked in the top 15 nationally, and you sent a lot of players to college to play. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk a lot of softball. Okay. We'll talk a little bit about the MLB draft and the fact that the Royals just drafted a player who I'd never heard of. And then it's really just a lot about Blue Springs South and a lot about you. You're a big defender, we'll say, of softball's platform and establishing that in this area. It's actually like, there's very few people now that like we look at and we're like, oh, we're not doing enough. And then we look at you and you're like, oh, we're not doing enough. Like, I just remember I'm doing the research for this, and I look at all of the groups you're a part of and all of the reps you are for things, and I'm like, oh, we are not doing enough. Great. But we're here today. Obviously, this is the first kind of thing we've done with our expansion and covering softball, which I'm really excited for, especially after watching some games of you guys' last year. So we'll start. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was some differences in Kansas and Missouri softball, which is fun.
So obviously I grew up playing in Missouri, but that was back when we used to play in the spring. But I've coached in Missouri since they've been in the fall. And my daughter actually plays on the Kansas side, so I get a lot of both sides of the state line differences, and it is kind of crazy.
So when did Missouri start playing in the fall? Do you know?
Okay, so we start practice August 7th this year, and then our first game will be August 25th.
Okay, so it's like that what's that, a Friday? Is that a Thursday or Friday?
It's a Friday.
Okay, yeah, so that's when like week 1 for football in Missouri is, and then Kansas starts, I would guess, around the same time. They actually start practice the same week as baseball. Yeah. Depending upon how they schedule things out, games will either start right after spring break or the week. Like there'll be spring break, then a week, and then they'll start. So like either the last 2 weeks of March is about the time that that Kansas softball will start.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Missouri is at the fall. And Kansas in the spring, and Missouri plays like 20 more games than Kansas does. Is that a lot as a Missouri side coach? Your daughter plays in the Kansas side, but as a Missouri side coach, does it become overwhelming?
It can. We have 36 allowable contests, not including postseason.
Got you.
So we could play as many as 42 games in the fall in about the span of 11 weeks.
That's nuts.
That's insane.
That's nuts.
So
when you put it like that,
it could be a lot. I don't schedule more than 28 non postseason games. So I'll schedule about 28. Last year we did 29. You would be shocked at how much that one game will totally throw a wrench into things.
Yeah.
Is that like for like arm care purposes, or just making sure that players aren't totally drained by the postseason, or?
Partially. We also, it just kind of depends on how each coach schedules out their season, right? So I do a lot of front loading because my kids are coming off of summer. They get a couple weeks off and then they're just itching to play again. And so it's like, okay, so let's just keep playing. And so we front load a lot. We'll be 20 games in, and it'll only be like the second week of September.
And that's the craziest thing. Like when Kansas and Missouri are playing at the same time for things like baseball this year, and you're looking at it, it's like, oh, Liberty North is 14-1, and Blue Valley West is 5-2, and you're like,
yes,
these guys, and it's so hard to tell who's the better team then, and then we'll have these crossover games where Kansas and Missouri are playing each other. And it's like, oh, well, Blue Valley West beat these guys, Well, it's also because they haven't played 11 games in 2.5 weeks.
Well,
So
it'll also be really
Right.
confusing because some teams it will be like, okay, this team is 4-0 and this team is 9-1. So you're like, they have one loss, but this other team has 5 less wins. So it's really confusing sometimes.
And I'm sure it can be. I know for me, that's kind of just kind of watching as a parent on one side of the state line and then coaching on the other. It can be, especially like as I work with things like the Earl Award and the All-Star game that we have and stuff like that. Sometimes it's hard to look at those stats. Like even right now with National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, we're right in the middle of our voting period for high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually our All-American team will come out the end of next week. And that's always a struggle to go through and look at all the different states. I mean, you want to talk about us playing 42 games? Texas plays like 60.
Yeah.
Texas and Florida, California, those high schools play like 60 games a year. But they also start playing in February.
They start playing sooner.
Yeah. And so.
And do you know why they made a difference with Missouri and Kansas? Like, why do they want to split that? I know they're two completely different associations, but
I don't know. Kansas has I will say Kansas is probably Kansas and Missouri, I will say, are the two of the most strict state associations.
Yeah.
When it comes to coach contact days, it comes to scheduling, it comes with just like if you look at all of those rules, Missouri and Kansas are two of the most strict.
Yeah, you should see the emails we get
weekly.
You get to Oklahoma, you go to Oklahoma, you go to Texas, you go to Nebraska, you go into Colorado. There are like no rules. Those guys, like I have a friend of mine in Oklahoma, and he coaches. He literally his varsity, almost his entire varsity team, plays together all year.
Baseball,
round.
softball.
He does softball.
Softball. Okay.
They play together almost all year round because they have no roster limitations, and they have no coach contact limitations.
right.
And so, and he has his softball kids in a gym class called softball.
not physical education, not lifting, just softball.
No, softball all year round.
They don't care? See, that's not allowed in Missouri or Kansas.
No.
That's not even
And so
close.
he has them in class, and so they lift and they hit or they go do defensive stuff every single day all year long, and they get a grade for it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
So I do want to ask,
it's just crazy. Like you go state to state and all the differences and everything.
Right.
So with Missouri and Kansas, for the team one and then for the players two, is it better to come right off that summer ball season and then play for your high school, or is it better I played pretty okay for my high school team and now I'm gonna go play for club? I'm gonna go play. What's better for the girls for scholarships, and then what's better for the team, the high school?
I prefer the fall. I always tell people if you were gonna ask me to go coach in the spring, I'd probably tell you no.
Yeah. Is it the temperature or just?
A lot of it has to do with weather. I would much rather not have to fight the weather every day. I've got about 2 weeks that'll be super hot.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's a cakewalk. We might have a couple of days with rain here and there, but it's not a huge issue. Also, I like not having to mess with prom, graduation.
That's very
all
true.
the end of the year stuff.
Because then they have the AP testing or they have whatever it is. Yeah.
And they're so focused on other stuff.
Finals and.
Logistically, I love the fall.
Yeah.
I have homecoming.
That's about it.
That's the biggest problem. And Friday night football games. Those are the two biggest things that I do, but I just figure out ways around it, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's a lot easier to figure ways around optional events.
Yeah, that's way easier.
Graduation, which you kind of have to go to, and things like
Yeah,
that.
so that's one big reason why I like, and I think it's better for the kids in that sense because some of them. It also depends on what kind of student the kids are.
Yeah.
Are they strong starters or are they strong finishers?
Yeah.
Strong starters, fall doesn't bother them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're in it, they're ready to go. And strong finishers, if they're on the Kansas side, that's not going to bother them.
Yeah.
Because they just always finish strong anyway. As far as students go. As far as the kids go, like playing wise, I love getting them off of the summer. I mean, I'll be honest, and I don't have to do a lot of conditioning with them. I don't have to do a lot of like
because they didn't just bulk that entire winter with Christmas.
Yeah. Right? They've been throwing all. So really,
Right.
a lot of my job is to find them rest time.
Yeah.
When I go to do my schedules, like for like practice scheduling and things like that, first thing I look for, where are my rest periods going to be? Like, where are my rest times going to be? Because, you know, I want to make sure that they're rested. You know, I've been doing it for a while. I was an assistant for 10 years before I was ever a head coach. So I could kind of see, all right, like, are we wearing them out? And so that's why I front load the season too.
Yeah. Was that like a big trial and error thing? Was what I was going to say earlier. Like you've just figured out a balance and you're just not going to.
Yeah. Like we
would. Well, now she's found out that it's worked. So,
right.
Well, what we were finding early on was that we were peaking like 2 weeks before districts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's not when we want to peak. Right? We want to be peaking at districts. So we'd find out in kind of like watching the kids, like, man, but we've been playing so well for the last 2 weeks and now we're at districts and now we're going to go out in the first round. Like, what's going on, guys? Well, and you start talking to the kids and like, I'm tired. We just played.
You overloaded the middle schedule.
We just played 20 games in the last 21 days, coach. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
and
like, even looking at your schedule, like I've got it pulled up here.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of the year, you play in the Rockwood Summit Invitational.
That's what we did last year. Our schedule's a little different this year, but yeah.
And you kill that tournament. You beat Rockbridge, which looking at your schedule was like the one boogeyman on that schedule last year. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. And then it stays tight. You play 3 games at the Piedmont Softball Festival. You play in another tournament at Park Hill South. That's a 2-day tournament. You play 3 games on that second day. And then your schedule after that is like game day. You have a game the next day, 2 days rest, 4 days rest. And you can see you're kind of starting to give the kids some time. And they're still playing really well. Obviously, you started the year 19-0 before you had your first loss. You had 2 losses at the same school. So
Yes, our only 2 losses last year were the same school. Which we'll get to.
You beat him when it mattered. So
We beat him when it mattered. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so like this year we're gonna play. We actually got some national teams on our schedule this year.
they're going the Staley route. I like it.
I'm excited about it for the kids,
Right.
Because a lot of my kids that I have right now, I'm gonna have 7 seniors, and
Dang.
so a lot of them have played the same schedule for the last 3
Right.
years, right? 2 and 3 years. So this year we're gonna kind of shake it up a little bit. We're actually gonna play Gretna and Papillion La Vista out of Nebraska at St. Joe the first day, so August 25th.
that's a tournament at the start of the season.
It's not, yeah, it's just a round robin.
Got you.
So us and Blue Springs are going to travel up to play those 2 schools at Mo West.
Write that down. Write that down.
Should be pretty good games. Gretna and Papillion.
I'll pull it up later.
Papillion was, I don't know if they finished top 25 last year.
They were dang close though.
They were dang close.
If they weren't.
And that's actually where Jordy Ball went.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of where, and they've gone to state for 30 straight years.
30 straight years.
So
That's pretty.
Has any?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Bishop Miege numbers right there.
St. James or St. Thomas Aquinas is the only school in Kansas that has anything close to that.
yeah,
They're bad girls basketball.
And they're like 37 years in a row
That's
or something
insane.
crazy.
Yes.
Insane.
So yeah, so they've gone for they're a really good team. Gretna was ranked number 1 in the fall for a long time last year. So we have Gretna and Papillion that we're going to go up and play on the 25th. And then the next weekend we're actually going to go to Omaha, and we're going to play in the National Fast Pitch Association's leadoff classic.
Okay.
Do these not excite you though? Because I mean,
I'm super excited.
Because for the
New
players,
teams.
I mean, yeah, but for the players, like even if you lose, you learn so much from these nationally ranked teams. And the later in the season, you're going to be playing teams that are nowhere near the athletic ability that these teams have. So it's like, I mean, you're just setting them up for success, win or lose.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we do when we go into these games. Like last year when we went to Piedmont, we knew we played Washington and Piedmont. They were both top 10. They were at this festival. There were 4 teams, and 3 of us were ranked in the top 10. I think Piedmont and Washington, were 3 and 4 at the time, or maybe even 2 and 3.
Sure.
And so the girls, we just went down there and I said, hey guys, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Like we're playing nationally ranked we're nationally ranked. These guys are nationally ranked teams. Let's find out what we're made of.
Also,
and then we went down and ran the table, and it was like,
and some people, they're like, they get this thing in them when they're the underdog. You just play better. You have nothing to lose.
oh,
Like,
that's
it's
what I
just-
said. We're not
and
supposed to
I
win
feel
these
like-
games. We're number 8.
When you set matchups like that in the regular season, when you're saying we're going to play these nationally ranked teams, or like what Staley did basketball last year, I felt like it set the mindset in a totally different place where you're not focused on, for a lot of teams, it's, all right, we've got to put a good stretch together so we get a good seed in districts, and so we get an easier route to the state playoffs. When you're playing nationally ranked teams, it's all right, we got to go play Missouri teams again. Like the way Staley was when they went and played in Bass Pro, it was like it just feels like they're on such a different level than everybody else.
I mean, there are a few times where it's like, okay, you don't want to overdo it to where like your players can get injured. 1 or 2, you're like if you're like Kansas, how they rank it is just your record goes off of what you are in the state. So if you but there's some teams that are like you play in the EKL as like St. James, they're class 4 or 5 depending on the sport, and they'll be like 15 and 10, and they'll be like an 8 seed, but they'll run the bracket. So you want to find a mixture where you're going to be high enough in districts where you don't have to play the harder teams, but you also want to be able to know that okay, we can compete with whoever.
Well, Blue Springs,
we're usually our goal is usually to be in the top 3 district wise, because we know exactly who we're going to play, right? So if we're 1, 2. Oops, sorry. We play 1, 2, or 3. That's always our goal, right? We're like, okay, if we fall to 3, so be it. We'd love to be a 1. We'd love to be a 2. But if we fall to 3, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because we know that we're just going to have to go through the 2 seed, which if we're the 2 seed, we're going to have to go through the 3 seed anyway.
Right.
If you're the 1 seed, sometimes I kind of see the 1 seed almost as it can almost backfire because you play the lowest seeds every single time. And so sometimes the best team you play
is that 2.
Is that 2 when you get to the district championship and you haven't been tested yet.
Now you got to turn on quick.
Yeah, like
flip the switch.
Last year we were 2 behind Rockbridge as we should have been.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because they beat us twice. We played each other 3 times. They beat us twice. They ruled us both times, which was fine. And it was just like, okay, so we obviously are the 2.
Right.
And I think what helped us and woke us up, and my friends at Blue Springs won't like to hear this, but what woke us up was the 8-inning game that we played against Blue Springs the day before.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it was like, oh, everybody's bringing their best.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, our girls started looking ahead to how are we going to beat Rockbridge. And all of a sudden it made them snap back
to reality.
Like, okay, wait, we got a game to play still.
Yeah, we still have to win this one.
And now
it was good.
Even in that same realm we will talk about that Rockbridge is kind of a rivalry between you guys, especially after how last year went. You guys had 2 8-inning games against Blue Springs last year.
We did.
So
they brought it.
The state of that rivalry is up there as well. And that's the only thing I don't like about Misha districts is that Blue Springs. I would have loved to see that game on not championship weekend, but in kind of the spot in the year where you're playing for something that's bigger than the district semifinal.
That's a complaint that we have a lot with Misha that we've actually talked to Misha about several times. Is there a way to get out of the geographical districts?
No, because
they flat out told us that it probably will never happen.
I get why they do it for travel reasons, for scheduling reasons. I 100%
I don't
get it.
because there's districts,
but
6.
There are some districts where we're
District
playing
5 for football.
But
is this team's got to drive an hour and 40 minutes to Troy.
Yeah.
It would make sense Class 6 District 8 or Class 5 District 8.
Sometimes it'll be like Lee Summit North has to drive all the way up to St. Louis to play SLU. It's like, why is this even So I kind of get it. I kind of get it district wise. I get it a little bit district wise. But it's when there are 3 or 4 teams that are the 3, 4 of those teams are top 6 in the state. Why are they playing each other in districts? Like it happens with baseball, it happens with basketball, it happens with softball. It's like, why are the 3 best teams in the state having to play each other for a district championship?
Staley and Oak Park should not play each other on a Thursday night.
No.
For basketball district championship. It just shouldn't
not.
be a thing.
They were the 2 best teams. Maybe Oak Park was the 3rd best. Maybe.
Well, us and Rockbridge should have been the championship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And you guys played in the same in the district championship.
And then you go on to run rule, the 2 of the 3 teams you play in the state tournament. You went 11-2 and 10-2.
Yeah, Nixa was not Nixa. I guess we played Ozark this year in the quarterfinal game, and they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, but
not Rockbridge.
We probably should have won that game by more too. But that's okay. But that's because I truly believe it's because we came off that Rockbridge game and we were just, I think, even though it was 4 days later or 5 days, I think we were still tired. To be honest.
What is the I think the real different thing that I see in the softball state tournament is you get 8 days rest between the quarter and the semi.
And I, as a parent of a kid who's gone to the Kansas State tournament and who's a pitcher, yes, there needs to be You don't need to be playing a doubleheader for your state championship.
That's how I felt about I've done Kansas 6A
If you want to do it over
baseball
3
the last
days,
3 years.
oh sorry. If you want to do it over 3 days, fine.
No, but I mean, okay, I maybe understand if it's like, okay, well, these schools are small, like it's a class 1. We want to make sure that because if they have to drive 2 hours to Wichita to and they're from Kansas City, then we want them to be able to watch it. So let's do a doubleheader. But it's like, if it's in town, like these schools are not coming far. Like I don't get why they would even be like, oh, we have to play both games today.
Let me speak
because well, I'll tell you on the Kansas side this year, it made a huge difference for Olathe West and Washburn Rural and Olathe Northwest. Huge, because Olathe Northwest, who's undefeated, and Washburn Rural play each other in the semifinal game. Go 13 innings.
So, like they
Something
play
so
pretty much
many.
13 innings.
Yeah.
They both ride both of their number 1 pitchers. Okay. And it didn't matter who was going to win that game. They were going to have to go into the next game either hoping that their number 1 could pull out a few more innings or was going to have to play their number 2.
Right.
Which that isn't how that should have gone. They should have at least had a 24-hour turnaround time so that all the players could have rested.
That is one thing I did want to ask you. So softball is a little bit more lenient with, I mean, because pitching in baseball, it's like you need to
There's
take
a lot more action on the arm.
I mean, but with softball, it's like, okay, you can pitch if you have like 24 hours. So what is the difference? What do you go for pitch, like for arm safety for your players?
So I'm lucky. So I will say when I started coaching at South, we would ride an arm. We would ride one arm for a long time. Probably about 2013, 2014, we had a situation where we ended up paying for 4 labrums. Okay.
What? 4?
Yeah.
In the same season? Or is it the same game?
It was 2 on each. It was just 2 kids. It was 2 on each one.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
I don't know how much it was that high school had to do with the injury.
Could have been club.
It could have been club because it happened awfully early in the season for both of them.
Sure.
Okay.
So it could have been that just what we were doing was the straw that broke the camel's back too, right? Like it could have just been
you added on to it,
and it just added on, and after that, our trainer started doing a lot of research because everybody's like, why are we paying for all these labrums? And so she started doing a lot of research, and she started going to some conferences and stuff and like learning about it. And that's when she looked at me and she said, you can't ride one arm anymore.
Yeah.
You have to figure this out. That or you're going to have to limit your games. That or you're going to have to really, take down the number of games that you play.
We should insert the Morgan Freeman voice. It's like she figured it
out. But I think it made us better in the long run because we don't have to depend on one. We always make sure.
Yeah.
And I've been extremely blessed. I will say that too. You can say, oh yeah, well I've got more than one. Super lucky. I mean, there's a lot of luck. I mean, I would say coaching, there's a lot of luck that goes into it too.
Oh, absolutely.
As far as like who you get and
not even just that, just like fan sections, funding, all of that as well.
All that stuff. Yeah. And so I've gotten really lucky. But after that, I've been told that I have to figure out a way to have more than one arm. The last arm that we kind of rode was Easton Sibe. She actually just graduated from Valpo. We kind of rode her, but I got the blessing to do that mostly because she did it. She pitched during the summer, but on her summer team, she was pitching with Elena Votter from Stanford.
Okay, yeah.
So she didn't have a ton.
She didn't have to get.
She didn't have a ton of innings.
Yeah.
Right. So she didn't have a ton of innings come off the summer. So the trainer felt good about that, and the fact that she was past puberty. Right. She was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So the trainer said that's fine. It's when they're in. It's like right as they're like just going through puberty is the time that those tendons and muscles and stuff like that will strain the most.
Gotcha.
Is what she found in all of her research. So she said basically until they're 16, 17 years old, you can't ride one arm. So luckily Easton was 18 and we only had one pitcher at the time. So it was, okay, Easton, here you go.
Yeah, because I'll watch like the College World Series just happened, but I'll watch like the Softball World Series and it'll be like the same girl pitched 3 innings, 4 innings every day. And it's just, she always, like, it's like, but they're fine because as long as they stick like right around 60 pitches, they can just pitch.
So,
every
hey,
day
you want
and
to
they're
talk
fine.
about crazy arm writing that I watched? I went to it was not this past Kansas season, but the season before, when the Kennedy kid was pitching for, where was she at? Washburn
Holy
Rural?
cow. She's at Topeka High.
Just Topeka High. And there was a point where I was like, she is either going to finish this game or die. Like,
Yes.
it's one of those two things is going to happen, and she finished the game, and she was one of, if not the best pitcher in Division I softball
That
this year.
kid was amazing in high school. She flew under the radar for so long. I did not know who she was.
Was it because
until-
of Pika? Was it why? Is that?
I don't know. Part of it, I don't know if nationally she flew under the radar. In our area, she flew under the radar. But she played for the Louisville Sluggers team that's located in Louisville. So that's who she played for comp ball season. So she didn't play with or against a lot of people.
So
from
no one
just
really.
this area.
She traveled. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I think people watched her more for basketball.
Yeah,
If you
she's
didn't
6
know,
foot
she
tall.
was.
Yeah,
if you didn't know, she was a stud basketball player too. She was a Kansas first team all sport athlete. Like
Yeah,
she
some,
was.
people, some people are
and
just freak athletes.
If you've seen how she's built, you wouldn't be surprised. She's 6
Yeah.
foot, and she could probably
She
rip.
commands a lane.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She is.
Probably rip your arms off.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how common this is at the Division I level in softball, but to have a true freshman come in with a .57 ERA.
She led Division I in her ERA.
Led Division I in ERA. Her third game in college, she has 16 strikeouts. She throws in the same week span of against Villanova, Miami, and Kansas. She has 18 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, and 10 strikeouts. And in the third game against Kansas, she only threw 4 innings.
10 strikeouts in 4
In
innings.
4
It's insane.
innings.
It's insane.
That's nuts.
That kid was. I said I didn't know her until I went to the Kansas State tournament. My daughter's freshman year. I didn't know who this kid was. Like I'd heard about her, but I started kind of hearing about it. Like, oh, this girl's really good, and I was like, never heard of this kid. Like, who is she? And I remember I walked up to the field at Shawnee Mission District Stadium, and I'm like looking down, and she doesn't look tiny. When like I'm looking down on the field, you know, how you look down.
No,
at
there's
the stadium,
sometimes you'll go
and
to-
they look small, and I'm like looking at her going, "Oh
that's
my god!"
Yeah,
That's an
we'll
adult.
go to football games, camps, stuff like that, and you'll be in the booth, which is not close to the field,
No.
and you'll see like 4 guys, and you're just like,
That's
they're
a dude right
so
there.
much
That's
bigger
so much
than
bigger.
everyone else.
And went to watch her pitch. She pitches so effortlessly. Like you just watch her pitch and you're just like,
It looked like she
The-
wasn't trying.
it just looks like she's just like she looks like me throwing batting practice, right? Like I'm doing everything I can to throw batting practice, and she's just like throwing 72 miles an hour, and it's just like, oh, here you go. And yeah, she was crazy good.
getting touched.
And I watched her for 2 years at the Kansas State Championship. I watched her win about 4 games all by herself.
Oh, that was the most
Shohei Ohtani,
dominant.
yes.
She hit 1 or 2 home runs,
Yeah,
and then she
right.
struck everybody out.
Right.
Like,
It was the most dominant. There is only one more, or even not more, but even more in the same realm of dominance that I've seen, and it was Blue Valley's 2019 baseball or 2021 baseball team. Because they had Carson Liggett was just pumping 97 down guys' throats. But to see her not only be the best pitcher far and away, but to be one of the best hitters far and away.
just to be one of the best athletes.
Right.
Far in the, far
She
away.
just
Like,
looked.
She was crazy.
She looked like everybody else was playing a different game than she was.
Yes.
It's like a Bishop Miege soccer coach told me one time. He goes, sometimes it feels like the other team is playing kickball.
I bet. I bet. Yeah, I just that and then the fact that Stanford had 2 Kansas City kids. Or
Yeah.
I guess
Kansas City,
can we
yeah.
take credit for
Yeah,
Topeka? Sure,
we're
why
taking
not?
Topeka this time.
So
Mo
yeah.
We
So yes, the fact that Stanford rode two Kansas City area kids into the World Series is crazy. Great for our area, amazing. It just kind of shows like what kind of kids we have around here. Like you kind of said something earlier. You said, "Oh, I have to go back to playing Missouri teams." I'm like, they're pretty good.
They're not. Yeah,
Like-
they're
not
not.
bad,
No. I'm
I'm
not.
like looking at you going, they're.
I'm not
good.
saying, but
Hickman in the
but it's
defense,
it's
that's
going
what
from
we're
like
talking
the 8th nationally ranked
Oh,
team
yeah.
to
Yeah.
maybe playing like a battle or like I mean
Hickman,
like
you can say it. You can say it.
It's okay.
I mean, still Rockbridge is. I mean, that's not.
That area is not a bad area.
No. Like St. Louis, Springfield.
It's just crazy. The competition level that we have is just. I mean, we play. We have such amazing athletes around here, and that's one reason why I fight for them, right? Is to get them more of that stuff that I feel like they deserve more than what they get because one, they're never going to ask for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so somebody has to do it for them, right? And two, I just doing more national stuff. I kind of laugh, but. Whenever we do our like All-American stuff like we're doing right now, right, is you see all of the California, all the Texas and all the Florida kids, and you're just like, God, like they just, and it, rightfully so, because they've always been so dominant.
Right.
They just believe that they're the only ones that deserve this stuff. And you're like, no, we've got really good kids from all around the country. And we've got really good kids in the Midwest. We've got, and sometimes I get a little upset with organizations that maybe just released an All-American team that only had three Fall State kids on it. Three kids out of 20-something. They had 3 kids that came from Fall States. I was like, there are a lot of really good kids
that you're just missing.
That you're
out
missing.
On. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there are kids on that team who didn't deserve it. Right. What I'm saying is
there were other people that were just as deserving.
Yes, that I felt like, and I don't know what the thing is that, I don't know what their process is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So I don't know what their process is for,
who they select and stuff like that.
Yeah. For who, like how do they come to those decisions and stuff like that. And that's just, sometimes that's something that I would like to know. Like, I was just like,
like there's so many people.
Yeah, the NFCA were really transparent about it.
Yeah,
that's you can ask for a voting. You could ask for a vote tally. Like they'll send you the tally to say, hey, look, here's how the voting went. Whereas,
Kennedy highlights.
Yes.
So I did want to ask. You have 7 seniors this season.
Jeez.
Do you like it?
This was you had a .48 ERA.
That is insane.
22 games.
Throw this up on the screen.
It's not even like not even like this is Jesus Christ.
Like she's just throwing it. Like she's making Oklahoma hitters which is hard to do. Make them look silly. Yeah. Like she literally does.
Up and in.
And everybody thinks that, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, she's gonna go to the trade." Now that Jordy left Oklahoma, Nija's going to go to Oklahoma. I'm like, she's at Stanford.
And she plays with so much spirit,
it's too. Not like she's
piece of paper from Stanford is going to make her more money than softball probably ever will.
Ever.
Right.
So why would she leave there?
Right.
Because the piece of paper she's going to get at Oklahoma, nothing against the Oklahoma degree, good for you. Right. Doesn't rank up there with Stanford.
And also just think, like, logistically wise, if you're getting, I mean, I don't know what her scholarship looks like. If say it were to be like she gets all the paid for, you're getting so much more value out of a Stanford scholarship.
Oh yeah,
a full ride to Stanford and a full ride to Oklahoma are not the same.
Like $200,000 different, right? Oh, she's so good.
She's so good. Like it's just not even. It's just ridiculous.
I did want to ask. So you have 7 seniors this year. Do you kind of like? So I'm guessing all of them came back from last year.
Yes, I like them.
No. I'm guessing they all came
like
back.
2 of them, and she's not sold on
no, I like them all.
They all came back from last year, right? Mm-hmm. Do you like it better whenever you have a bunch of youth that you can kind of develop, or do you like having these 7 seniors? You're like, this is our year.
It kind of depends. It depends on the group, right?
Sure.
This group is a really good and special group. I can say really the last several groups I've had have been really, really good and really, really special. But you just get these groups of kids and to have this many and not to be super nervous about how things are going to go down, right?
Yeah.
Because when you start talking about having 7 seniors, or you just start talking about having a large group of people, you start wondering, how are they going to gel as a group?
Yeah.
How are they going to get along? Are they going to be able to be good teammates? Are they going to be able to...
There's not going to be a clique of these 7.
Are they going to be able to put all their pettiness aside? Like, there's all of that stuff. And with this group, I don't worry about that. They all know part of it is they've played together since they were... Well, about half of them played. There's 3 of them that played varsity as freshmen, and then there's 4 of them that were on JV. One of them's been on JV for a long time, which is fine. She's done great, and I think she's gonna join us this year. But I've got 6 of them. I got 3 of them that started on varsity their freshman year, and then I've got 3 of them or JV players their freshman year.
Sure.
And then they've all played together. They've all started every single game since their sophomore year together. Yeah. And so what's great about the group that I have right now is they all already know their roles.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They already know where they fit.
Yeah.
They already know where they fit in like the social hierarchy of everything. They know where they fit, right? They all know what their roles are. I think part of that is because of some things that we do every single year. We talk about their roles. Like, what's your role? And we don't talk about roles as okay, you're going to be a pinch runner in the bottom of the 7th with 2. We don't talk about roles like that. We talk about roles as, okay, you're the energy bringer.
Right.
You're the positivity.
The voice, whatever.
Yes, you're the voice. You're the lead by example. And we talk about that, and they know that. And they actually usually self-identify. They usually know what their strengths are. They know what they're good at. Okay, so let's just be good at what we're good at.
Right.
Right. So I'm not going to take a kid who's a really good lead by example and has no voice. I'm not going to say, oh, you have to be a vocal leader now. That's not their strong suit.
Right. So
I'm not going to ask you to do that because I got this other kid over here who is louder than I'll get out. I'm going to let that person be the vocal leader because everybody respects them, right? Like they respect him. They know what they're doing. They know they're a hard worker. Usually it's best if your hardest worker in the room can be your most vocal kid, right? Because
you hit a pretty lucky jackpot if you get
yes, if your hardest worker in the room is your loudest kid, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
Because everybody's gonna respect them. Mm-hmm. And I've been really lucky. Elle Smith was the loudest kid in the room and the hardest worker on the field. And right now, I'd say Madison Hoffman is probably my hardest worker, and she's my loudest kid. She has the energy. She and her little sister bring the energy like nobody's business. And that's what we want. That's what their jobs are, and they do a great job at it.
And I feel like one of the more important things. Like, you can have a lot of really, really good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't gel,
and you can lose.
Pan out because your team. It's either a group of people that just don't like each other, or there's clashing. This person's getting the spotlight, and that was like.
And it's also these are teenage kids. Mm-hmm. So like last year, if you had 7 juniors. Like, that's not even, 16, 17-year-olds. Like, it's easy to get some beef stirred in the pot. And to stop that in a team, teams can ungel so quickly. So,
yes.
From a coaching standpoint, how do you prevent that? Is there anything you can do, or is it just truly luck?
Some of it is luck. I am lucky with this group. Most of them have played together most of their lives.
Yeah.
Which sometimes though can also be a strike against you because they're tired of each other by the time they get there. When they play together so much and they've been friends for so long, sometimes they're like, okay, we're all going in different directions. This group is still going in the same direction, which is great. I really think talking about the roles and talking about what are your strengths, and what are you gonna do, and also having them we also have them identify what their weaknesses are. So if your weakness is being positive with yourself.
And also knowing
you need to know that
on a personal level. If you know that, you're just going to work harder because you know what to work on.
But then it lets the rest of the team know, hey, this is what I need to help her with, right? This is where she feels the weakest. I can help her with that. And so we just talk about how, okay, so now we all know what our goals are. We all know what our weaknesses are. We all know what our strengths are. We all decide together what the definition of hardworking is. We all decide together what the definition of energy is. And we come up with very specific actions that go with each one of them. And we say, okay, so now when you're not doing X, you can't get mad when, Sally comes to you and says, hey, you're not working hard today.
Accountability.
And you could say, they can just say, hey, you need to pick it up. You can't get mad because we all just agreed on this definition.
Right.
And now, do they go at each other like that? No, they generally don't. They usually say, hey, let's go do let's go do this. Let's go do that. What's going on today? Sometimes they'll just ask each other, what's up? You're not yourself. And that's always good, right? But we also go through, I think part of that is because we come off the summer season physically, we can spend some time at the beginning of the season talking about how do I approach a teammate
instead of running laps or
how do I approach a teammate when things aren't going right? How do I hold somebody accountable? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And so we actually do spend time doing that. So yes, I think that helps a lot.
And there's two parts of that we've talked about kind of before. And it's especially like at Blue Spring South and the bigger schools on the Missouri side that we know, and even some of the bigger schools on the Kansas side, you see a lot of, and we call it top-down buy-in, where it's the people at the top are totally bought into this idea of success, and in that the teams are successful because the coaches and the ADs and all the people in the school are bought into the success. And the players are successful not only as athletes but as human beings because
they feel that believe in them.
Right. Yeah. And they have support systems that it isn't just like, oh, here's this coach that I have to deal with for 2 hours a day, and then I can go home and we don't, I don't have to see this person until tomorrow at 3:00. But I feel like the situations where you see that that's different, where it's a coach that can hold you accountable and can be like, hey man, what's up? What's going on with you? Why are you not feeling it today? What can I do to help you? Situations like that is where we see one, teams that win 30 games a year, and two, teams that, you see a lot of athletes that are, even if they're not, playing high at the next level, they're getting good jobs. They're going to good universities, and they're carving out lives for themselves that are positive and in the right direction.
Yes, and we talk about, like, sometimes with a lot of kids, especially as they get to be seniors, we start talking about, what's the next step look like? Whether that's life without softball, whether that's life with softball, what's that going to look like for you? And but we always say we have a little sticker that I put on their bags, and it just says person over player. And it just means that it's always going to be the person you are. I care more about the person you are than the player that you are. And kids, I will say this, kids can see through that, whether or not, like, if you just put that up there as a slogan,
right,
or if you really believe in it, they know.
Yeah. Have you seen Ted Lasso? I think this is like a perfect that believe. I mean, it's just a sign. Like, it's just a sign, but it's like, if you truly can buy in. Or if you can truly, not to be like a pun, believe, I mean, it's endless.
And so when I give them that and I say, okay, guys, I care about the person you are over the player that you are, and all of this coaching staff says the same thing, they know that at any point in time, they can come to us and say, Coach, I need to step back. I need a break. I need this. I need that. And we have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Even if it's the biggest game of the year and they're just like, they're just melting down.
Right.
We have to say, okay, it's what you need.
And they build that trust with you too.
And it's, in some days I will say it's easier than others because you're just like, now, man, really now,
like, right,
you chose
today?
now, like today, but on the outside, it's okay. All right, you got to figure out how to deal with this. And that goes a lot. I had a young lady who, was it my second year, second year as a head coach. And she would have an anxiety attack before every single game, physically, like vomiting, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she got to the point about a month into our season that she just looked at me and said, Coach, I can't do this. And I'm like,
but she played fine. Like, it would happen, and then she just.
Yeah, some days not.
Gotcha.
You
could tell it was affecting her.
It was affecting her physically, obviously mentally, but like anytime somebody has anxiety and it starts to affect them physically, and everybody can see it, that's a problem.
Yeah,
right.
That's way past a problem. And I remember she was so upset. She thought we were gonna be so mad at her, and I mean, she was a starter. She was our number 3 hitter. She thought we were going to be so mad at her. And we just looked at her and said, you got to do what you got to do.
High school softball.
Right. Yeah, that's what we said. We're like, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you are 17 years old.
She's like, I think I need to step away. And we're like, okay, fine. And the only thing that the worst part was I had to ask her to tell the team, because I didn't want the team to think that I was doing anything, right? I said, I need you to tell them so that they know that this is coming from you and this is nothing, you got to own it.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be a punishment.
Got to maintain loyalty.
And she got that. Like, she got it. And she was kind of afraid at first. And then when the whole group just hugged her, when she said she was going to step away, she was like, okay, this was the right thing to do. Yeah. And the next day, I remember she came in and she goes, Coach, I don't think I can quit. And I was like, okay, well, we can't go back and forth like this, right? And she goes, no, I don't want to play. And I was like, okay. She goes,
like be a trainer.
She goes, can I be a manager?
Manager, yeah.
And I was like, well, absolutely.
Right.
And so she was our manager for the rest of the year. And she came back the next year and was great. She had figured out she got through it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I share that story a lot. And so that's why I know she wouldn't mind me sharing that story, because I've asked her for her permission several times to share that story. And so one thing that we're going to start doing, hopefully this year at Blue Spring South, we're trying, and we've got a lot of people, is we're going to try to start having kind of a athlete
awareness or mental health.
Like a mental health awareness kind of, I don't want to say club, but, you know, just like, you know, kids
collective
who are kind of
okay,
here, hey, identify some coaches that you can go to.
Or
you know,
even teammates or something like that, yeah.
Teammates, you have some kids that you can go to. Just kind of start building that trust just within our athletic department of, here's some people that you can go to when, you know, things are bad. And then one of our school psychologists is going to help us with it. Yeah. So that's what's great about it.
And that's one thing that's like absolutely amazing about sport. I mean, there's other things as well, but like with sport, it's like you truly have this brotherhood or this community that you can just fall back on. Like even when she was like, I want to quit, the whole team just like, yep, we're with you. Like it's so supportive, and there's not many things that can create that community.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how. The thing is, I didn't know how that was going to go either. Right? Like I was like, I hope I'm not throwing you into the lion's den for this.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think I was. Right? I didn't think I was. But you know, there's always that thing in the back of your head, like, are they going to be mad at her? And
you're like, please don't be mad.
And I'm sure at some level, you know, they were like, man, that's going to be a big hole to fill, right? But it's
a mature thing.
Yes, they handled it like no. And after that, that's when I realized, like at that moment, that's when I realized this is how you have to coach kids. Like it just, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of clicked. Like, you know, this is how you have to do it. And ever since then, that's just kind of been our thing. And I think that helps a lot with, like you said, like with the cliques and the. I really
there's no separation with teammates.
Knock on wood. Since we've been doing stuff like that, it hasn't. I mean, we've had a couple incidents here. You know, you got a couple incidents here and there.
There's still high school.
There's still high school teenage girls, but it hasn't been like a whole team rift kind of thing, like I've had in the past.
Well, that's good.
That's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing.
Like you said, figure it out, right? You just got to figure things out as you go.
One thing with figuring out, so you played Rockbridge to start the year, play them twice, and it's not particularly close.
No, they weren't close at all. Like you don't even say particularly close. They weren't close.
11-5, and then 8-0, right?
Yeah, I think they hit something like 8 or 9 home runs off of us in those 2 games.
That's insane. But figuring things out, you play them in the district championship game. How do you motivate your team? Like you're like, I mean, there are some people that are like, it's hard to win 3 times in a row, which is true. It's true. But like, what do you say? Is it just like, I mean, they just came off a really hard game against Blue Springs. What do you say to kind of motivate them into that?
So I have to go back to the one we played them at Mizzou. We lost 8-0.
Yeah.
The first time we played them in that tournament, that was just weird. Like nothing felt right that day. Like, does that make sense? Like we just walked in there and it just nothing felt right. We just didn't have it. We really didn't even have it the game before that. We just were good enough that we
beat the team that you beat.
But it wasn't pretty. Like it wasn't how it should have been.
It's like a game where it's like that should not have gone to 8 innings. Like that
it was a game that we shouldn't have gone 7 innings, and it went 7 innings the game before that, and that was fine. And we always try to let go of that, right? And we went into that game, and so then just jump forward to Mizzou, and it was just kind of a different day. We were tired. That was the end of our long stretches of games. We were getting ready to go into a lot of rest time. And so we were a little tired, but we came out the next day to practice. Or no, we didn't come out next day. I gave him the day off the next day, came out on a Friday afternoon for practice. And I told the kids, I was like, you know what, anytime we need to have a talk, we go to the pitcher circle. I don't know why, but I'm like, let's just go out to the pitcher circle and let's have a talk. Let's go out to the circle. Let's talk. Let's rehash this, debrief, whatever. And we just went out there. we started talking, and I said, hey guys, what do you guys think happened the other night? Like, I don't feel like we played bad. I don't feel like but what happened?
Right.
And they just, they kind of, they kind of felt the same way I did. And I said, well, here's what I think. I felt like we were really tight. I felt like we were just really tight, and we were playing not to lose. We weren't playing to win.
Too much, yeah.
We were playing not to lose. And one of my kids looks at me, and she looks at me, and I'll never forget it. And I'm thankful that she felt comfortable enough to say it. She looked at me and said, Coach, I didn't feel like I was tight. And I said, really? She goes, but I felt like you were tight. And I was like, And then a bunch of the girls are like, yeah, you weren't you. Like, they just flat out told me. They said, you weren't yourself. You weren't joking around. You weren't, I've known to dance between innings. Like, you weren't dancing. You weren't singing. You weren't joking around.
Well, at this time, you were 21, 22 and 1.
Yeah, 22 and 1, something like that, 23 and 1. And they're just like, you just weren't you.
Yeah.
And so as I kind of sat there for a minute, and they're talking to me about it, and I'm just kind of reflecting, I went, you're right. Like, I just looked, and I started thinking about them, right?
Right.
They were themselves. They were fine.
Right.
It was the energy they were getting from me.
Yeah.
And I could feel it again. I think about it, I can feel it again. And I was like, you're right. I was super tight that day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because, I have Larissa Anderson watching me coach, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't
You're
know.
at
Probably
Mizzou.
kind of like,
Like,
I'm at Mizzou. Like,
Right.
I don't know if that probably had a little something to do with
Psychologically, it has to, I feel like.
it probably was, we have to win this game for district seeding. Like, I think there was just a lot that went into it, and I don't really know. I'm not, usually the bigger the game, the more loose I am.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that game I was really tight. And so.
I mean, yeah, you do know, though. It's like, well, we're 1-1. If we win, we get the 1. If we lose,
this
we get
is
the 2.
a deciding game.
This game decides what we are in district. So I get that.
Yeah, and so when we had our debrief, we always talk before we go into districts. We always have another discussion. We go around the circle and we just talk about, okay, what are the things that we need to do in postseason, and what does postseason mean to us, and all these kinds of things that we do before we go into postseason. And of course, the girls started talking about Rockbridge, and I kept saying, hey guys, we have 2 games before we get to Rockbridge, right? And so I didn't let them talk about it that day. So the day before our district for the championship, the girls all just said, here's the thing, Coach. Like, they were real honest with me. They love to tell me their game plans. Great. And they came to me and they said, you know what, Coach? I said, what? They haven't seen us at our best yet. Yeah. Even the game we won, we had to come back from 9-2.
Yeah.
Right? We came back from down 9-2, and we ended up beating them. They haven't even seen us at our best. We've played 2 good innings against them all year.
Yeah.
They haven't played Blue Springs South softball yet.
Yeah.
We've played Rockbridge softball, and we're not very good at that. I said, no, you're not. And
I think being cognizant of that is so, I mean.
And they're like, we haven't made them play. We don't think they can keep up with us if we make them play Blue Springs South softball. We don't think they can win. And I was like, well, let's find out. And so they just went in that game and just said, you're going to have to beat us playing our way. Playing at our place, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely did. Home field advantage helps. Also,
that drive also isn't like particularly short.
No, but they were here early. They got here like early in the morning.
Just a boring straight line.
Yeah. It's not, but we've done it. We do it every year.
Twice, 3 times a year.
2, 3, 4 times a year.
I feel you. I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
I drove from St. Louis to here yesterday.
It's just.
Yeah.
Really
and
is.
so
70 for
they, and so playing at home, I think they're a home run hitting team.
And they didn't.
And they did it because you don't hit a lot of home runs at Blue Springs South.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Very true.
Because of the way the wind is and the way the field faces, and that was the other thing the girls felt good about, is they're like, well, they beat us with home runs every other game. We don't think they can hit one here.
Not many teams.
Playing Kaufman tonight, boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
you got a far fence and the wind's coming at your face.
Yeah, we're just like, and they just flat out said that. They're like, they're gonna have to play like gap to gap hitting softball, and they don't do that, and that's what we do. Yeah. And they just felt real. I will tell you, I didn't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
They were super confident. For getting run ruled twice, they were the most confident team I've ever seen in my life. They were like, oh, we got this. Yeah. Like, they had no doubt in their mind from the time we beat Blue Springs to the time we walked into that game. they had no doubt in their minds they were going to win. Once we got the 2-run lead,
Yeah.
they definitely had no doubt in their mind. We jump out 2-0 in the first inning. Those girls are like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. Like, they had no problem at all.
Like 6 more innings of this.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
And they're like, why didn't we just do this before? Like, they literally said to me, like, why didn't we just play like this before? I'm like,
in hindsight.
And that's the key to, like, literally, like, every sport. It's like, you just, I mean, if truly believing that you're going to win, it's like, not many people can stop. I mean, you just can't. You manifest it, and it's so powerful.
It's playing to win instead of playing to not lose is a big thing. It's like we see, and I think some places, like, kind of set a weird narrative on it. Like, you look at, like 1983 NC State when they won the Valvano championship in basketball. It's like, oh, they're playing survive and advance. And it's like, none of those players woke up and went, we're just not going to lose today.
Yeah.
Like, none of them were like, we're just going to play barely good enough today.
Yeah, and it's like when any underdog team, or even when, like, a good team plays, it's like they're there to give it their best. Like, especially, like, St. Peter's or, like, any team that's ever made a run in March Madness or in any tournament, doesn't matter if it's youth, high school, collegiate, even MLB when the Phillies last year, when they went to it, the Phillies were not supposed to be in the World Series last year. But it's just like they just know when they're best, and some teams, honestly, they just get hot at the right time. Yeah. And so there's a lot of factors to it, but I think truly this is the confidence, the manifestation of it.
It's like that year that Northtown won 14 games when losing at halftime, and it was like it was like they're not trying. They're obviously not trying to do this, but it looks like they are.
Yeah. What was the end stat when we lost to Liberty at the end of the year? We said we were 16-2 when trailing at halftime. And it's like, that's never...
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen ever.
Yeah. Like, no, and it was like...
That's like saying we're 14-2 after trailing in the 5th. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right. Well, and I just remember, like, doing those games, and it was like, even when we were down to Liberty at half, we're down, like...
It was like 18-2. It wasn't...
Yeah, we were down 12 to Liberty at half, and we're Northtown grads, so we're sitting there, and we're like...
Oh, so am I.
We're like... Oh, they're gonna win this thing still. Like down 12. I remember
even in the fourth quarter, we were down 9 with like
3 minutes
left. 3 minutes left, and we won it. And it was a 1-point game with like 40 seconds left.
Yeah. Like, we're gonna do the thing we do now.
Dude, I remember. This is so not softball, but I'm sitting front row, like the high school, by the way, is my favorite atmosphere. I've been to college, I've been to G League, I've been to NBA. All of them, I just feel like I'm so disconnected from the game. Basketball, there's just music playing at an AU tournament, or it's just, high school. It's like I'm 4 feet from the entire bench. I get to see everything that's happening. I remember Coach Fritz took a timeout. He's like, "This is our last timeout with 46 seconds left, I think." And he's like, "This is our last timeout, guys." He's like, "If any team's gonna do it, it's us. We've literally done this all season long," and they end up losing the game. But it's like the fact that I think at one point we were down 18 or 19 points in the third quarter, and it's like no one. I mean, it should have just been over because they had. Did we even have a kid? I mean, Sturts. Did we have a kid that really win any? Benedictine, and then Park, but we had no like D1, D2 commits, and they had a guy that Sturts went to Northwestern and was dropping 18 a night.
They also had a Division I third-round draft pick pitcher who hit 6 threes.
Milbrand. They also shot 67.7 or 8% from threes, which is like
wild.
All year long they're shooting like 38.
Yeah.
And then there's some nights you just absolutely have it, but I remember just sometimes coaches. I mean, Fritz has 700 wins or plus in basketball. There's just some coaches that is like you just buy into it, and it's such a big thing, and so. I don't know. I just remember seeing that. I know we lost, but it was like everyone on that bench was like, "We're gonna win this game."
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, if your whole, in my case, my whole dugout is just like, "Oh, we got this. There's no problem."
Yeah.
Like everybody.
It's a prior relieving feeling as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, when they walked in, my assistant and I looked at each other before the game. And we're like, "We got this," because we could just tell by the way that they walked in that day. We were just like, "Oh, we got this."
Yeah.
And then we jumped out to the 2-0 lead in the first inning, the top of the first, and we were like, because our girls are weird. They get really excited when they're the visitors.
Interesting.
So they
like going into that.
They like getting a lead. Is part of it, right? So they
making
like
the crowd
jumping
just
out
die,
and they like getting out and getting a lead. And so we were at home, but we were visitors because we were the 2 seed, and
which is so Stupid.
So the whole, so like the whole time, like as we're getting, the girls know that we're the visitors, and like all the way through warm up, they just are talking about, hey, we're gonna get a lead early, and then we're just gonna play defense. Like that's what they said. They were like, we're gonna get a lead early, and we're gonna play defense.
And in the 3 games you played Rockbridge, you allowed
way too many
28 runs, something like that.
Thanks.
And then in the fourth game,
he's making the pitching staff.
Like,
and then
feel really good right
and then in the fourth game,
my pitching staff only has like a 2 point whatever ERA. But yeah, go ahead.
And then in the fourth game, you allowed 2 runs. It's like the switch is.
Yeah, like I said, they were just like, we're just gonna play defense. Like, and we're a good defensive team. We're good offensively. We got hitters, but I will say we spend probably 90% of our practice time on defense.
Yeah.
And because we're gonna take every out you're gonna give us. And then we're gonna try to steal a few too.
If you have not watched high school baseball or softball, the teams that don't do that, oftentimes it's pretty evident.
But,
like, I'm not gonna say who.
I hope the mic didn't pick that up.
I really hope it didn't either. Their baseball team had dudes, and we went out and watched
They could just home run
They
hit.
could just rake.
They would rake the yard.
But they would
play
get in
defense.
positions
4
in the
errors.
7th inning, especially where the teams were like, wait a minute, if we just bunt, we got a good shot. Because their third
nothing's
baseman,
worse than getting beat with bunts.
One of the worst
Nothing
things.
is worse than getting beat with
Olathe
bunts.
West,
Oh
Olathe
my
West
gosh.
Liberty 2
Yes,
years
please
ago.
explain
We
this.
did a game of the week. There was the first baseball game.
And before it was a Blue Spring South game.
Yep, Blue Spring South Mace played right before. It's the very second video.
Yeah, it's right there on the bottom left.
Yep, the left. Yep.
And in the second
play
inning,
it.
we'll
is
throw
the
this up
second
on the
inning.
cast.
This is Yep, we're talking about the. Yep, gets by the right fielder, and it ends up being an inside the park home run.
Like first, right out the
Is that
bat.
my nephew? Who's hitting right now?
Addison Smith, maybe.
So Liberty. Okay, no. So that wasn't my nephew standing at home plate. He was a catcher for Liberty on that team. That's why I was asking.
Oh,
Ryan.
yeah.
Ryan Williams.
Yes.
He plays at Northwest.
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so we go to that game, and there's first of all they get an in the park home run due to an error, but then they lay down like 5 consecutive bunts, and all of them make it on base.
No. They lay down about 11 consecutive bunts.
The base is loaded.
That's what I said.
And then we're like,
All you need is
are
an
they gonna
out.
put
Like,
the squeeze on right now? And then it became like, oh,
they
I'm
got
not
it.
even questioning if they're gonna put the squeeze on right. The squeeze.
Nothing is worse than to get beat by a bunt.
At one point,
it doesn't matter what, baseball or softball. I mean,
No,
it's just-
nothing's worse than to get beat on bunts.
they got run ruled off bunts.
they were
Because
going into that game. They were
literally, all you have to do is like have a bunt coverage and throw it to first base. Like when you're bunting, you're literally saying, "I'm giving you an out."
It is
right?
called when you score it, you write it sacrifice.
Like in softball, we'll have kids who can bunt for a hit. Baseball, so I think it's a little bit more rare that you can bunt for a
because you
hit.
also have to run a little farther.
Yeah. Whereas softball, we've got a lot of kids that'll bunt. Like I have some kids that I'm like, hey, you always have the green light to bunt if you
Let
feel
one
like
down,
it, right?
dude.
Yeah. If you see the third baseman sleeping, then you can freaking get to first base in 2.3 seconds. So just run because she can't get the ball there that fast.
Just drop it and sprint.
So
yeah.
they're fine with that. And that's cool, and I love that. But yeah, man, to get beat on, I tell my kids all the time, they hate bunt coverage. I was actually talking to my mom about this. We were watching a softball game. I don't know. We watch softball all the time at my house. So we were watching a softball game online, and I was just getting so frustrated with the team we were watching. They couldn't fill the bunt. I was like, oh my God, just bunt all day. Like, I'm just telling the offense, I'm like, just keep bunting.
doing it.
Because they're not making an adjustment and they can't get you out. So just keep doing it. And I was getting so frustrated for the team that was on defense, though. I'm like, just get the out. Like, go stand next to her.
No, but
Literally, third baseman, just stand next to the batter.
We
right
went-
now.
Right.
We went to
that
a-
was my thing. Is like they at one point they weren't even like the squeeze is you don't show the bunt until it's pretty much out of the pitcher's hand.
Yeah.
You're
And
trying to catch him sleeping.
Yeah.
After about the third time they did it, they stopped putting the squeeze on. Bases loaded. They're coming up and showing bunt.
Here you go.
And
Come
it's like
forward.
The third,
Come forward.
he
Come
might as
and
well
get
have
it.
stood up and went, I'm bunting. like he pretty much should have. You should mute my mic while I fix this. By the way.
No, but I remember going to a game. It was maybe like second week into the season. I get it's early. It was a rainy game, so there's a bunch of these factors. There were 13 errors. 13, and it was a 17-run game, and it got mercy rolled in like the 6th. And it's like there was 13 errors between the two. It's like,
you want to know a bad game from last year that we had?
But you still won.
We still won. But it was Staley. We played against Staley.
Yeah.
We were ahead 13-0.
And they didn't call it
in the 4th.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because we were too short of the 15-run rule, right?
Yeah.
In the 5th inning, we are now only leading 14-10.
Oh my.
It ends up being a 21-17 game.
yes.
I remember seeing
It was 3 touchdowns to 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Like literally, like
the
that's
same
what
thing
we're
happened.
talking.
Staley and Liberty North played a baseball game like that, and I was like, Liberty North gave up 17 runs. That's more than their football team gave up in any game except one.
Yes.
And it was the state semifinal against CBC who won it.
Oh, I know. We were just like, I literally was just saying, we thought, of course, all the girls were like, okay, we're going to be out of here in like 5 minutes or whatever.
You're almost done. You're about to mercy roll. You're going home.
Literally.
And you.
Like, it was like a 3-hour game. It was horrible. Horrible. And then to end it, the umpire, oh my gosh, I'll never forget it. Close bang bang play at first.
Yeah.
For to end it, Staley's up, bottom of the 7th. To end it, calls her safe. She was out by a step. I know it. The other coach even said it too. He goes, "Does he think he's getting paid by the hour?" Like, he apparently wants a bonus because he just called her safe and she was out by like a step and a half.
So
we had to play, and then we played then of course what do? We give up like 2 or 3 hits.
Yes.
And so then it's even
now
closer.
It's even closer.
And then it's like, and then finally it's like, okay, we can get the last out now. It was I had to bring in my number 1 pitcher. I was trying to give her a rest,
close this out.
I was trying to just get through not having to use her. I was like, hey, you're not going to do anything today.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it got to be like 20-17 and I was
walking around.
Hey, you got to come in.
Like, hey,
the crew, everyone here, we have gone to more than majority of the entire world's high school sports games.
Oh, absolutely.
So many.
You guys do an amazing job.
There are some. We went to a varsity game. This was it. I don't remember. It might have been 2 years ago, but I remember. It might have been. Was it May South this last year? I don't know. But the JV game, there were 47 fouls. 47 fouls were called in a JV basketball game, and I'm like,
those
refs
are the worst.
If anyone knows,
I used to keep book at basketball games.
Refs make what, 40, 60, 40, 50 bucks a game?
JV basketball 35? Probably 45.
Yeah. You get 45, and it's not per hour.
It was $1 a foul.
It is a game.
And it was probably like a 27-22 ball game, wasn't it?
No. It was
finished
actually
like 90-86.
No, it was. But it was. I'm not joking you. 47 calls, not like whistles. I'm saying fouls.
Yeah.
And this doesn't count like off balls, timeouts. It was a 3 hour and 12-minute JV basketball game.
Yeah. No, that never should happen.
It was.
So we have pretty early call times for broadcasts. And when I say pretty early, like if it's a 7 o'clock game, I'm usually there at 2. I usually ask everybody else to be there at like 4:30.
I'm sorry, I just saw this one.
and I just remember that game was a Saturday game. It was a rescheduled Saturday game.
Yes.
And I remember going, okay, the game starts at 2. I have somewhere to be at like 6.
Yeah, we're gonna be fine because it was
great.
You get 2 games in 4 hours, whatever. It's fine.
Right, and then so I get there at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then Joe gets there. I told Joe
it wasn't maybe
2 o'clock game.
It wasn't
2 o'clock
bad.
game. Get there at 12:30. I don't care. It's a Saturday game. It'll be a good game.
Yeah.
But I mean, he obviously he went to Northtown, so he knows the Northtown kids. And May South, they weren't. They didn't. Have
They were late as well.
They were late as well.
Oh no.
So
their bus didn't
he
come
gets
until
there, and he's like, dude, why did the JV game just start? Why are we still in the first quarter? And I'm like, the fouls, the board's not even reading the correct foul amount because it's past 9 already.
It's past.
We're past 10.
They were in double bonus. So they've changed the foul and bonus rules in basketball.
No,
but they were in the double bonus like 4 minutes into the first and 3 minutes into the third.
Yeah. No, that's when you know. When
it's a JV basketball game.
When you're in the double bonus before 6 minutes of a basketball game, you're like, this is going to take.
And maybe it makes sense if it's like, okay, that was a foul and it's a close game. It was like 80-48.
I think at that point you have to go the no blood, no foul rule.
Like the refs, like
if you're still standing.
If I'm a ref, I'm not a ref, but not that I would like throw a game, but it's like, okay, I'm trying to get out of here faster than I need. Like I don't need to.
Sometimes you'll have those referees who are like, I'm so sorry. Like they'll come over and be like, I'm so sorry, but like they're killing each other.
Yes. There's also a second one where we go to do an Oak Park Northtown game. And
those are always fun anyway.
So it's a great rivalry game.
It's a rivalry game. Those are great. Those are awesome.
As somebody who has been in the locker room during these officials conversations, and we know most of the officials pretty well.
On the Missouri side at least.
They are having conversations about it is not lost upon these guys that
they aren't clueless.
60-year rivalry.
Yeah, they aren't clueless.
Right. And
they know what they're walking into.
And they decided that day that they were going to allow what I believe in most states is considered murder.
It was one of the. I mean, okay, so you know how you run as hard as you can down first base line, and then if you take a move towards second, then they can tag you out.
Yeah.
So he basically runs through. They called him safe. Basically, the play was over, and Elijah Lewis. So instead of walking towards the Oak Park dugout to walk back to first, he walked towards the second base to walk back to first, but he's walking back to first.
But he's not making a move
and
to
they
second
said
base.
that he took a move towards second, and they called him out, and it's like, and they had to, and then they're like, maybe an inning before this, they had to take like 40 minutes to get the rule book out, because what happened?
No. This is what happened. So, and you might know this rule, so you can correct me if I'm wrong.
If it's a baseball rule, there's a chance it could be
might.
But we'll see.
Right, in the same ballpark at least.
Yeah.
When you want to protest something, you have like a certain, I think it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, 10 minutes to figure out what you're protesting. Like rule.
Yeah, and you have to get the rule book out.
And you have to get the rule book out, and you have to be able to point to it.
And say, this is what I'm protesting.
Yeah, and you have 10 minutes.
And there was no timer set. No one started the
Somebody
clock.
forgot to get the watch out. At about 15 minutes later, Maylee at Oak Park walks back out and goes, never mind. And we were just like, are we?
They were trying to look up the
Twilight Zone right now.
They were trying to look up the rule for like. I mean, it felt really long because you're on broadcast. You're on like just dead air.
Because you're just like, how are we going to film this?
We're gonna send you to commercial, and then come back, and you're gonna stare at the screen for 10 minutes.
Because we're still gonna be staring at the screen as well.
But the part, and this is the only reason I thought that him finding the rule was gonna be difficult, was because it wasn't just he made a move towards second. It was Northtown's runner who made the move towards second, was called out, and then Bubba Dotson comes out and talks to the official, and he overturned it. So it was called safe.
That never happened.
So they were protesting that you can't overturn a call, basically, and then they couldn't find it in the rule book because he didn't take a step. We were like, we have a live coverage of this. Just watch it back.
He didn't make a move.
He was walking back.
What an umpire to be like. For a part of me is like, an umpire that just admitted that he made the wrong call in hindsight, but also at the same time, like an umpire that immediately is like, my judgment was bad, he's out. like you're usually, even if it's kind of a bad call, you just stand on
most
it
umps just are like, yep. I don't know if it's especially in the NFL or like in the NBA, stuff like that. It's like an ego hit. Nope, I'm right.
Yeah,
I made the right call.
But the good ones usually will go talk to their buddy. And what's funny is that I know, because like I said, I know a lot of these guys, and like they'll tell me later on. But like if I ask them like, hey, can you go talk to Jim? And yeah, I'll go talk to Jim. Goes and talks to Jim. Jim has no idea what he's being asked about, right? Because Jim was watching a totally different play. And I know Jim's watching a different play, but he's going to go up there and he's going to talk to Jim, and he's like, Jim, I just blew this call, right? Like, he'll just be like, I messed it up. Let's just talk about it for a second. You're going to say no, and you're going to say that she's safe, okay? Right?
That conversation didn't happen. Like he talks to Dotson and immediately goes, safe. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
You just decided this now?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's what they'll do a lot to save faces. They'll go talk to their partner, and then they'll be like, hey, listen, I messed this up. You're going to fix it for me.
There was one game that It might have been Staley CBC, but I don't think it was. But anyways, the coach.
Well, sometimes you don't ask the right questions as a coach either, but that's a whole nother story.
It was Park. No, it was Park Hill versus Blue Springs, and it was basketball. And the Blue Springs head coach was like, "Ref, talk to the guy about it. He made the wrong call." And I was.
It was Park Hill
completely
South.
no.
Park Hill.
Yes, I completely said it wrong. Yes, I completely said it wrong. It was Park Hill South, and the coach was like, "Hey, ref, please talk to him about it. He messed it up, teed him up," and I'm like, and because the foul was so wrong, it was wrong, and the coach was like, "Hey, talk to the other guys about it," because it was the far.
Can you just get together?
It was the far line judge, and it should have been the baseline ref.
It wasn't even his call either. Yeah.
Oh, and I felt so bad. They teched him up, and they lost that game by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah,
and
oh my God.
Like,
it was Shawnee Mission Northwest in Park Hill South.
Yes.
And the ref.
That's all I ask. I'm like, hey, just get with your buddies, and if you guys come to the same conclusion that you already had, if you don't want to change your call, so be it. But I appreciate you going and talk to him.
Also, that just right there shows how many games we go to. I couldn't. Yeah. There was like 7 where I'm like, it was
I
probably
name 3 games where that has happened.
Yeah.
There was one we were watching. Me and Tyler were watching Oak Park and Park Hill South play a summer league game like a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, dude, like the coaches are gonna chirp at you a little bit because they want the players to get better, and it's hard for players to get better when they're getting hosed or whatever.
Yeah, or when they're getting called for every little ticky-tack foul.
But this guy is running and talking like John back and forth with Sharon Collins.
Oh, okay.
Which is, 1, not a good idea because it's Sharon Collins and he's not going to stop.
Okay.
And 2, not a good idea because this is a summer league game.
Yeah.
like.
Well, he may have known that was Sharon Collins and maybe been like, "Hey, I'm gonna set the tone now."
I'm a K-State fan.
Yeah.
Well, there's also some refs.
I'm gonna set the tone right now that you're not going to do this to me all season long, too.
Which is that's
valid, right?
It's valid.
There's also some refs that will make fun of it. They'll laugh about it. You'll be like, Eddie, you know that was wrong. He's like, okay, and he'll just laugh about it. They'll be like, whatever. They know you're chirping them, and they're like fine with it. And there's some that are not cool.
Oh no, they don't.
They're like, do not talk to me. Like they're like.
There was one.
I'm the one with the stripes.
I got a couple of those. I know both of their names, and I won't say either because they're on the same crew and they have been for most of the last.
Well, a lot of them are, yeah.
A lot of them are. But one of them is one of those tuck your shirt in guys.
Yeah.
That is constantly like tuck your shirt. You know who this is?
No, I do. Do you remember the? We are so off from softball now, but the William Joel tournament. It was Lee Summit versus maybe Raytown. I don't remember what it was, but the parents, the Lee Summit was up by like a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Liberty? It might have been Lee Summit Liberty. And they were up by quite a bit.
Year?
Was it Lee Summit Liberty? I don't know. It was at the Jewel tournament. And the lady in the stands is like, he doesn't have his... Yeah, it was Lee Summit Raytown. And the mom was like, he don't got his shirt tucked in. He don't got his shirt... And we're like, it's a 20-point game right now. Why are you saying this? Like, they're not... What is that? They're not going to take him up. Like,
and you probably get this as a coach more than we do as people who, like, are just fans. And as someone who knows coaches and knows refs... Mm-hmm. I try to like vouch for these people.
Yeah.
Fans in the stands that don't understand what the rules are.
Yeah.
That's a foul, Blue.
It's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I will say, like, whenever I sit, like, when I'm a parent, right?
You're sitting there like,
and there's other parents, I'll look at them and be like, I'll just look at them and start shaking my head like, don't talk anymore.
Yeah,
and they're just
stop.
like, well, but that's not against a rule. It's okay. Like, I'm just I'll explain it to you later, but just stop talking. Like, because you're annoying everyone who knows the rules right now.
There was a baseball game where one parent was like, that's not a balk, and it's like, yes, that is
the definition of a balk.
Like if I had to look up what a balk was,
that would be a picture of that guy. Yeah,
like
So we were talking about that Liberty game that we went to out in Lawrence, Free State, and before we were saying that we had Blue Spring South versus Mays. And the first thing we did when we got there, the parents were not happy at me or Landon was in a cripple because he. Landon, you want to explain this? You want to explain your injury real quick?
Yeah. So I had tore my patellar tendon.
Oh, that hurts.
In July before my senior year, and I didn't get surgery because this is like 2021, and I didn't get surgery until after my senior year because I didn't want to miss it, you know. Yeah. And I was supposed to get surgery in December, but they had me wait because the hospitals were filled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I waited until March, and I got my surgery March 15th. And we go to this game like
March 23rd.
Yeah,
like something like a week later.
Not even a full week.
He said not move his leg.
Sounds like your bosses really understand. Like
not
you were in a bad spot.
Yeah,
this whole company is his idea.
It's just like basically what had happened was let's like my second day back to school. They're like, "Come on, guys, let's go to this game."
Northtown, St. Pius.
Yeah, we go to Northtown St. Pius, and I'm sitting up there just like
He's in my back seat like this.
yeah. I had to sit across the back seat, and I'm crutching. It's like a half mile from the parking lot
so
to the
far.
field.
To Free State.
Yes, I've been to Free State.
Baseball
Yes,
field?
It's
they
so.
should.
Oh my
They,
God.
you should.
There should be a back lot. They should put a lot right in the back where all those trees are.
That, or they should just like have a shuttle service. That
Yeah.
Have a golf
one of
cart.
those like
That's
really
a money
long golf
idea.
cart, like
That's
one of
a
those like
money
limo
idea.
golf carts. You know the really long ones. Have you ever seen those?
Not even. It wouldn't even be that expensive either. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be.
And
you
no,
just take it
so
down
anyways,
there.
we
Yeah.
get there and we're logging this. I mean, it's a bunch of
Yeah, it's like
equipment.
a half mile.
And
It
this
took me
and
like
it's like
20
and you're on
minutes.
crutches.
and at
Yeah.
the time the game wasn't very good. Blue Streams were up by quite a bit. Like that was the year that they got second in the state.
Okay.
And so we sit
then
down
it got-
and
by the
this
way,
this
it got
dad
really close at the end.
it did.
It went like 12
It did.
minutes.
And this dad goes, "You're in our way," and we're like, "We're about to be done. I promise."
Like, sorry, sir, I can't
it was
move
also
to
like
the
it was
left.
also like it was like 6-0, but it did go to like 12 innings, and that
Yeah.
the Liberty game didn't even start till it was blackout.
Yeah.
And so
We left.
in that game, Mays threw a ball like, I mean, it hit the mound like it was
Yeah.
a ball. Like it was in the dirt. And the guy goes, "That was a strike, And we're like, "What did you just look at? What did you just
Are we watching the
You were
same
still in the
baseball
way.
game?
He couldn't see.
I was like, there's no way. Like I would get it sometimes there's like a close foul. Like whenever it's like there was a jump ball and they don't call anything, it's like
Yeah.
well, there's either jump ball or a travel. You're like,
Yeah, it's one of the
there
two.
probably was one of the two and they didn't call anything, whatever. But like this was in the dirt.
Yeah.
It could not have been a strike. Like it could have
Like, it was a 55-footer.
It was a strike. It was a strike if he put his right foot.
If he was a strike,
on the dirt.
if he was hitting it 50 feet, he would have been a strike.
right.
Yeah.
You know, if he like Happy Gilmore ran into it.
Yeah, that'd be
could
fun.
have been a hittable ball. but-
Yeah. Yeah, no, balls and strikes are the best to listen to people complain about. 'Cause
It's also hard to, I mean, even as an ump, like, okay, even professional MLB umps,
well,
almost all of them don't even have 98% is a really good ump.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Aaron Hernandez is not a great ump anyways, but like he's like 88%.
Yeah.
If you can get that in high school would be insanely amazing.
Oh,
to get
yeah.
88%. So
Well-
the fact that like you think you're going to have better percentages as a crowd member is insane. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, what gets me is like you know, you'll have moms and dads or grandpas, grandpas. They can be just as lippy as anybody else. And coaches, like they'll say, like, "Well, that's not a strike." And my response is, "Yeah, it was because he just called it."
Right.
Right? Like that's
I
we
think
can't
the same way
contest
about
this.
foul calls.
like
about
that's
foul
it. I'm
calls.
like, they're like, that's not this, and I'm like, well, it is because
Why?
that's what he called. Like,
you also don't want to like piss off the guy who's
and
going
there's
to take.
and there's only and that's such a subjective thing, right? Like that's the last thing. Like I get objectively an out is an out, you know, right?
Sure.
Like an infield fly is an infield fly, and an out is an out. And okay, I can argue those things. I
Yeah.
cannot argue balls and strikes because it's a judgment call.
There
I
was
can't
one,
do it.
though.
It's too subjective, and so like that's I always ask my girls. Like first, they have a quiz at the beginning of the year, and one of their quiz questions is, well, one's what's a strike zone?
Yeah.
And the answer is whatever the umpire's call,
Whatever
right?
the- right.
And the second one always is whose opinions matter.
It's like, not mine.
And I say, not mine. And they're like, yours. I said, nope, mine doesn't count. Yours doesn't count. Your mom and dad's don't count.
It
And
is the guy that
it is-
has the authority of everyone right now.
it is.
and then
There's
it's
the
like-
two guys out there getting paid to watch this game. That's whose opinions matter. Nobody else's matters. And we can have them all day, and that's fine. But why are we going to worry about
There
that?
was one I remember Brendan showing me on Twitter. It was probably the first week of baseball, and it was a good matchup. And he slid into home, and they called him out or safe, one of the two, and it was like he
it's the only
was
option.
out. But you couldn't see that unless you watched it back.
Oh, there was one.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
you have to think about that,
I won't
too.
say what school did it. But they
That one's a
posted,
little louder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I unfortunately
He can edit it
I'm
in
the
the
one who
post.
edits.
Yeah.
Edit it in post.
They posted a video on their like baseball Twitter account that's like affiliated with the school because it's a
Yeah.
school employee that's running it.
Yeah.
And they were like,
People do that.
we got hosed. And I'm watching the
You're
video.
like, the refs are going to
I'm
come back and
watching
do this game
I'm
again.
watching the video and I'm like, was he out? Probably. Was he called out? No. Does
Are you
it
going to
matter
say you're
now?
hosed? Like,
No. Like, it was obviously close enough
Why
to where
ruin
I
your
had to
effort?
watch the video in slow motion, and unfortunately, the umpire does not get that liberty.
Well, what I laughed about is there was a team this year that came to our place that posted a video about a
4 errors.
that had so like that a team that came to our place who had a video of a play at the plate, and they did not agree with the play at the plate, and they posted it and said that basically that they got hosed.
And I get it,
but
it's a
here's the thing.
Barstool
No,
account or
here's the
something,
thing. Here's the thing. If you rewound it and watched it in slow mo, she was safe by a mile. So like that was the best part of it, right? Was that I sat there and I watched, and the thing is they even put
You're wrong.
They even put it in slow mo.
Like, you were wrong.
They said this controversial play at the plate cost us this game, and like we got hosed. This girl's obviously safe, and I'm like watching it in the slow motion that they posted.
Provided.
Yes, they provided it. I did not do it. I watched it and I was like, dude, her hand is like she's up to her elbow on the plate before she ever gets tagged.
Yeah.
I don't know how that slow motion just like validated your.
I mean, I would get it if it's
claim. like I just laughed.
I would get if it's like, oh, it's a Barstool account. It's probably ran by a kid or something. But like,
Yes, we feel like that a lot.
dude, I also
I'm
wish
that you found that clip so fast.
I wish it was
impressed with.
harder for umps to throw people out. Cause like sometimes I'm like, okay, whatever.
You
Like,
can't argue balls and strikes.
I'm a tournament director,
like,
and
in the
sometimes I
MLB
think they go too easily.
like in the ML. Okay, no, I'm not saying high school and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Whatever. I'm saying MLB and NBA. Like when John Morant got thrown out of that game for like disagreeing, it's like, dude, people just paid $100 to see him play for the first time in their life, only time. So like sometimes that's annoying, but like in like the MLB, it'll be like, come on, that wasn't, and they're like, oh, out, and it's like,
When was the game where they?
like I get don't disagree with the ref.
Probably last week.
Yesterday.
It was Yankees Cubs.
Oh,
You got thrown out in the first
And
inning.
he was like,
He just didn't want to
"We have
work.
a week until All-Star break. Why are you so?"
Yeah, he probably had a flight to go home, and he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get
my
thrown out of this so I
favorite
can head home.
sports game that I've ever called is Park University was playing one of the Grace, and it was in NAIA school, Graceland, one of them, Grandview.
Okay.
Grandview was the number 1 team in the country,
Yeah.
and Park was the number 2 team in the country. It was best matchup of the night, right?
Okay.
Most people have ever had watching an NAIA volleyball broadcast on a Tuesday night, and the referee just decides at a certain point that he is going to throw every single person that says a word to him out of this game. And it is emphatic because it's not like in the MLB where you're like, oh, he had a good throw out signal.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a dull one. No. These guys don't get to eject people often. So when they eject people, it is dramatic.
Yeah, and it's obvious.
It usually includes them having to dig through a bag to find the red card that they have to display. And it was funny because they threw out Grandview's best player, then they threw out Park's best player, and then they threw out
1 for 1.
and then they threw out 2 of Grandview's middles. So they're at this point
They have no
are
height.
playing like 3 defenders.
Yeah.
And a libero, like
And
that's
then
Ouch.
they get, this was the craziest part. They still have one really good hitter, and this kid dives. It's a really bad pass off of a serve, and he dives, throws one arm at it, hits it up into a speaker,
Oh shit.
and it comes down. And Park's like, that's got to be dead, right? So they start celebrating. Grandview hits it right back over, and it hits the floor, and Park loses the point. And Mike Talamontes, who's coached at Park for like forever,
Yeah.
like walks over and is like, I'm the one who wrote the rule. I was on the committee that wrote the rule about that play. He's talking to the umpire. He's like, I was there when this rule was made. I know what the rule
And
was.
he
the ball is dead.
And he was.
Yeah.
And then they throw him out. Park ends up winning the game. And
Oh wow.
I interview Park's best player afterwards. It's the funniest interview I've ever done because the kid is like fresh off what he is the number 1 player in the nation. He's from Brazil. Mm-hmm. He speaks very little English, and having him describe in English that situation was gold. It made my heart so happy.
Yeah.
That Park's SID is standing there like right behind the camera, like giggling at this interview where he's like, I'm not even gonna try to do the accent, but he's sitting there like making fun of this umpire that Park has for like 20 of their 25 home games.
No.
And I'm like, I really hope that guy doesn't watch it.
hope that guy doesn't watch
But it was
this.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was the best game I've ever called. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was 3 hours long. That was the only bad part. It was like
Yeah,
That's a long volleyball game.
7:00 on a Tuesday, and by the way, to that point in the year, Park was 19-0 and hadn't lost a set.
Oh yeah. No,
Hadn't lost
They're
a set.
crazy good.
And I was like, this team, they lost one game, and it was a national championship to Benedictine Mesa, and or the last two. They lost one to Missouri Baptist. But to this point, they haven't lost a set. And so Grandview takes a set off of them, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good match. And then all of that starts happening, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun. Yeah. And it ended up going to 5. But it was great.
That's a lot.
A lot of volleyball.
That's a
We
lot
sat
of
through a
volleyball.
lot
I'm like,
of sports.
that's
I love that
it
job.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
We need to get you guys more softball stuff.
I know. I have
You guys got to get some more softball.
I think I was doing
The thing that's also gonna make it difficult is like we're gonna do like awards and all-star and stuff like that, but it's like they're separate times, and we do Missouri and Kansas.
That's total
How
valid.
do you do a
wrench.
top 25 with MoCan if it's just Missouri at one point and then Kansas in the second? So
Yeah.
we'd have to do like, I mean, we could probably just do.
You could probably do
Missouri
two top
25.
15s.
Mo Cannon instead of just Kansas City. It's gonna be a lot easier.
It should be.
Because then it was like
we're
there's
doing a top 25 for just KC softball teams.
it was no KC
That's kind of like all of them.
Yeah, right.
KC Mo. It's like okay, well this team is literally 10 and 20, and they're going to be in the top 25 because there's only so many teams. In
Yeah,
Kansas
so
City,
yeah,
Missouri.
so now that you guys are expanded, yeah, absolutely, that would be easier. We do for state in each class, we do a top 10.
Yeah.
Right.
But you guys do all classes though, so
Yeah.
so absolutely, I think you have plenty of teams.
And the big thing that we're going to
that you
do
can then
is
choose.
we are going to
I'd like to know more about St. Louis people, so you guys got to help me with
Right.
that.
Oh, yeah. And we're doing, it is not up yet, but Tyler, if you go to our website and you go to stats football, this is exactly, just click on it. This is exactly what the stat page will look like for softball, except
sweet.
it'll be hitting stats, pitching stats.
So my question is, how are you going to get this?
Game changer.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they know that we do it. That's what we do with baseball.
Okay.
Is, if they have public game changers, we just pull from that. If they don't have public game changers, we will bother you until you give us
And
a
then
game changer.
other teams.
I just know that I keep mine on Max Preps, but same thing.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like
Yeah.
when we're doing, we have the rankings for football and volleyball already done. And a lot of that was we sit down for about 4 hours and go, we're going to find where this team's stats are because they're somewhere.
Yeah.
They are. And
You can always find them. That's why I always laugh
unless
at
it
when
is
people
this-
say, well, I don't want to post my stats. I'm like, if we really work, we can find them.
well,
Dude,
not
that's-
only that,
the,
but
the,
it's
the
like,
biggest thing is like I wish that every coach was just like, here's our stats, so we don't have to go find it ourselves. We just-
Well, they're afraid you're going to use them for some reason.
no, they're
Why are we
they're
doing
some
afraid that the
nefarious
team
reason
that they're playing
is
does
gonna get
not
them.
know
No, but
how good they
you
are.
know what's
No,
so
that's my
idiotic?
thing, is I'm like, I don't care that there's video out there and everything else. It's
Do you know what's so like just dumbfounding to me though? They're like, oh, they're gonna know my kid has 29. They can watch the film of this kid having 29.
It's
they
not,
can watch
it's not
the
that big a deal. That's what I always try to tell people when I sit on like my All-American committee, and that was one thing that we talked about this year was like, hey, can we just ask that if you're an NFCA member and you want to put a kid up for All-American, like, can we just say, or for all region, can we just say you have to have your stats on Max Preps? And
On something.
God, you would think that I just asked them to like give up their firstborn child because it was like this whole thing, like, well, that's just gonna give away information to my opponents and scouting.
They know.
And I was like, don't they already kind of know?
Do you
like,
not talk to
they
these
may
people?
not know the exact like.
There's no real
average,
competitive edge.
but they're gonna know that kid strikes out a lot. And they're gonna know that kid hits a lot of home runs. Like, it's not that
Right.
big a deal. And the thing is that your kid. Here's the other thing is now with like Twitter.
What's the difference?
Twitter
of,
and
like,
stuff is so many kids post their own stats on their Twitter.
Yes.
I can go through that and find out.
Dude,
If
or
I have
like,
to,
If I
right.
have to,
like
yeah, I can
not
go
like
through
like
that.
Park Hill sends their stats. Like I'll just use them for an example.
Yeah.
It's like who are the Bell brothers? No, everyone knows who these
No.
kids are.
And
Like
you
you're
act
gonna
like these coaches don't talk to each other anyways.
Yeah, like I call my friends whenever I'm playing a team maybe I don't know very well. I'm like, hey, what do you know about so-and-so?
And they tell you everything.
And guess what? They tell me everything. And guess what? They're pretty darn good. I don't need to see your stats. I'm gonna ask my friend.
Well, not only that, it's not even like if you wanted to go like, oh, we play this team next week and I haven't seen them play yet. You have a car. You can, drive one afternoon or send an assistant coach to go record this team. Like, have you guys never seen, like...
Huddle is a thing now. You can just watch the Huddle film.
We don't have that yet. But yeah, it's
really? Aren't you guys class 6?
I hope you don't get it.
Yeah, we don't.
Huddle isn't technically great for most schools. Like
Huddle's not good for baseball, softball.
If you want to break it down, really, it's not great one for stat keeping. It doesn't keep a good job.
You really need
It also, you have to pay to put it in, and you have to pay to watch. So there's a lot of things. It's like, this is just monotonous. But if you have absolutely no coverage at all, it's better than no coverage.
Yeah.
But I will say the only
Game
thing
Changer
that I don't like about like self-reported stats, Max Preps and Game Changer stats, is that sometimes some schools just have a random parent.
That's why I was saying, look at my Max Prep stats. Because my Game Changer stats are just to go with my video.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, like really, I just wish it just had like an ability just to keep score, like just say +1, +1, right? Like just keep track of the runs and the outs.
Yeah,
like that's really like a scoreboard. I just really need that to be a scoreboard. Yeah, my actual stats are I'm old school.
Keep a book.
So
I actually keep a paper.
I
book.
love it.
I am very weird, and I still pay for Swimtopia is what it's called, and it basically just gives you every time that every kid swims at any race, pretty much anything. Except you have to have someone plug it in to every race.
Okay.
So like I do pay for it because I enjoy it. Like I'll be like, this kid's swimming at 49.
Yeah,
if you don't know, it's insane. But like, even if like if the coach, because some coaches they'll have like inner room swim meets, or they'll have like last chance stuff, and they're like, we don't want to put it in. It's like you could just go on mission because in order to get to state, you have to put the times in. So they're always findable. It's like, why not just put it in this app? Like it doesn't. You just sync it up to the board that you have to put up there anyways, and you print out the. So, like, it's kind of annoying when coaches are like, it's going to make a difference. It's like, no, just post the times, and then you can look at everyone's. I mean, sometimes it's super impressive. These kids that are going, like, 55 seconds and, like, the 100 fly, or, like, even fast, like, 100 breast. This one kid swam at 56. I was like.
Yeah, I'm not real, I guess I'm just not real protective. I used to be. It's kind of the old school.
Maybe when there wasn't as much film and stuff like that. Like if I lived in the 90s, I will tell you this. I'm more protective of my stats and keeping it away from my own players and parents than I am like anybody else. I'm like, anybody else can have it. I just don't want to argue with you over whether that was a double or a triple. Yeah, my kid
or my discretion.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not have to deal with this, but some teams though, like I remember, like just with like personal people I know, they'll be like, my son has the best batting. Why is he not first? It's like, who cares? He's batting.
Well, batting average doesn't mean
like,
as much as you think it does.
Yeah, and it's like
especially in high school when guys are walking as much or
like everybody puts so much stock in batting average. I don't.
OPS plus is
really the only one that.
Yeah.
My first and second batter, I'll put a little bit more into their batting average because that means they're getting on base. But really, on that, I'm looking at their on base percentage. As long as their on base percentage is really good, they're going to stay in my 1-2 spot because I need them to get on base. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm looking at your run production. I'm looking at how many runs do you score and how many RBIs do you have.
Yeah, I do have a question. Do you like? I've talked to a few coaches that they fluctuate about this baseball and softball. Do you like putting like your fastest kid at 9? Because I've talked to some coaches about it. They're like, I like putting like my fat, because then I'll get him on with a bunt, and then I'll have three batters right next to him.
Yeah, there is a lot. I always love it whenever I have some kid who's like, I can't believe I'm batting 9. I'm like, no, I actually put you there for a reason.
In today's day and age,
because I want you to score runs. Like that's your job. At 9, your job is not to hit home runs. Your job is not to
get on base, and your
job is to get on base and turn over the order. Like that is your job. Yeah. So I'm going to put you there because I want you to turn over the order. Like that's it, right?
How many crazy park interviews did you find in 2 minutes? Jesus.
You're
pretty good at this,
except for last week.
So yeah, no, I just the whole like.
How are you finding these this quick? But you
the whole thing. The whole. But yeah, I don't know.
It's not such a big deal.
I mean, it is. This is what I want out of my number 9 batter. I want somebody who's going to get on base and turn over the order. Yeah. Like, I don't want you to be the third out of the inning.
Yeah. You are not the gimme.
You are not a gimme. You are the person, like I said, I want to get that. You're the person I'm putting before the top of the order because I want to get to the top of the order with somebody on base. And then, usually 9-1 are probably my 2 fastest kids.
Yeah.
Or really, but I don't know that I could say that this year or even last year. They're just productive kids. They just get on base. Like,
you just want someone
9-1-2. I want you just to get on base.
Yeah.
Like I said, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need you to be, productive.
Get the ball gap to gap.
7 and 8.
You're the best defenders on our team.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, no, I don't even want to say that because I'm afraid like one of my kids will hear it and be like, "Oh,
one of your kids
seven,
will be
right?
like, you hit me 7 times." As a matter of fact,
Right?
Go to Blue Spring South. Don't watch it.
One of the kids pulling up my stats.
One of the kids who probably was one of my best hitters last year hit my 7 hole, but it just and also maybe they're not as consistent.
And
they have a lot of potential, but they're probably not my most consistent.
I talked to some coaches and they're like, well, they have 9 batters. And then I'll talk to other coaches and they'll just be like, I like my 1, I like my 4, and I like my 7. And I'm like, they all have different mindsets and stuff like that.
Right now, I'm blessed right now. I have 9 hitters. Yeah. Like I have 9 kids who can hit.
10. You have one.
Right, I have 10. Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean
9.7.
9, and then I've usually got a really good defender, right? So like this year we had our right fielder Anna. She's so funny. We would call her the libero.
Sure.
Because she was defense only.
She just runs.
She was our right fielder, and we would always because we were trying to explain to the volleyball girls what she was. She was a flex player, and they didn't understand the flex.
Yeah, and
so. We just told her, like, well, she's like the libero. And they were like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, they totally understood it. So she was our libero for the rest of the year.
One of my favorite athletes of all sports is a pinch runner. He gets paid a bunch of money to get on and like the 8th and 9th run inning and just full sprint.
Kind of like to me, the smartest guy on the football field is the freaking punter.
Exactly.
Hey, there are some.
Yeah, buddy.
He was a DQ kicker. But like some.
You run out every now and then. You kick the ball. And you have to run off, and you never. And you hardly ever.
The game from
and you hardly ever get hit. Like
my mom.
I laid down a couple of hits.
My mom argues the best job to have in the entire world is a backup quarterback. You get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah,
dude, Chase Daniel has a ring.
Chad Henne?
He has a ring. He has millions of dollars. He gets to work out with his best friends. He's in great shape.
Like the best? Isn't he like the highest paid backup?
He might be the best backup quarterback of all time.
The most money as a backup quarterback in the history of the NFL.
And he was a great college quarterback. But
do you know how good of a backup quarterback you have to be, where teams are paying you $15 million? To
just
be their backup quarterback?
To just sit there?
right.
Just in case somebody should lay out your quarterback? Yeah. No, it's
They're
the
like,
truth.
you're a valid option if we run out of options. There was a tweet that I saw the other day about...
If you're the best bad idea today, then we'll pay you.
I saw a tweet the other day that was like, somebody asked the Colts offensive coordinator in 2000 why they didn't really have a good backup quarterback. And he was like...
We didn't expect him to
Because if Peyton Manning gets hurt, we're fucked. And
we're not winning anyway.
We don't practice getting
I mean, but there is something to that, right? You're just like, I mean, the reason why we don't have a good one is because if he goes down, we're done anyway. So it doesn't really, might as well not put anybody good out there because...
T3 third string quarterback as your backup.
Right.
At that point, your punter might as well be your backup.
Right. A guy that you can pay the veterans minimum to be a quarterback. I am one to say that if you're a good team, you should just draft a backup quarterback with your 7th round draft pick every year.
No, one of the I don't
get and release him every year.
Right. I don't remember the game. It was. I don't know who the team was. I think this even happened in Northtown before, but I've seen some high school games where like 3 quarterbacks go out for concussion protocol all in the same game, and you got a wide receiver just. And then Wildcat. I'm sitting in the Wildcat, and they're just going to run the whole time.
10 games with a wide receiver playing quarterback.
That's like Friday Night Lights season 3. Right? Like, you know what I'm talking about, too.
Yes.
Dylan East. But Wildcat all day.
Oh, man.
I love that
I really think I'm not joking you. I think the Eagles could win every game if they just did quarterback sneak every play. Every play.
Well, they're 92%.
No,
they're 92%ers.
In the Super Bowl, it was 100% minus the one where there was a flag call.
This is the game that Andrew Romine played every position on the diamond, and that was the greatest. It was the greatest athletic performance I've ever seen.
Was he just what was the point?
He was
just
good
did
at
it to do it.
He was good at everything, but great at nothing. Is
Oh,
Andrew
yeah.
Romine's
Nice.
baseball career. And
We're just all
No,
dead
by the
silence
way-
when we watch this.
By the way, they were 20 games under 500 when this happened. It was
Might as
the
well just
last
give
week
them
of
some
the-
fun,
The
yeah.
last week of the season, it was a meaningless game.
There's-
Two non-playoff teams on like a Wednesday night.
I mean, you might as well. I mean, what the heck?
have
If you
nothing
can do
to-
it.
It's funny that the game's
How many
close.
putouts did he have at each position?
Looks like he had two in left, and then like
Like, that's what's impressive to me. Like, not only did you play
Is he
everyone, but you
serviceable?
also got, like, outs.
dude, Andrew
No
Romine,
errors.
Shout out to Andrew.
Yeah.
He's not watching this, but Andrew Romine in the
He gets
2011
Utility Player of the Year.
MLB The Show game was unstoppable because you're like, oh, because that game was one of those games where like everybody just got injured for no reason. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
Oh, it's
Like the second you hit the
second
ball,
week,
it's
the
someone-
second
yeah.
week of the season, and my top 3 hitters are out for the year. That's great. And then it's just like, oh, our shortstop's feeling tired today. Put Andrew Romine at short. Oh, our right fielder gets hurt in the 4th. Oh, got to put the shortstop in and send Andrew Romine to right. And it's like, I was like, this is the only time I've ever felt like a real baseball manager on MLB The Show.
Yeah.
Just having Andrew Romine
What-
on my team and just picking where he was going to play that day.
One of
Well,
my
but it's so much fun to have players like that.
Oh, yeah. where
Like,
you're
like
just
to have that player that
just like-
you literally can just be like, let's just pick a spot here. And luckily I've had some of those kids. Like I've had, like I remember going into postseason meetings for kids like Bailey Fowler, who she graduated in 2017. And literally I said, this kid has literally played every position on the field except for catcher. And that's only because we haven't tried it yet. Like,
Yeah.
no, we're pretty sure she could, like we literally said she was and she was. We were like, she is the best player at 8 of our 9 positions, and the only reason why she isn't the best player at the 9th is because we haven't actually tried it
haven't
yet.
had to go there.
We're
Yeah.
not sure. She might be the best. She might be the best catcher we have too. We're not sure. Her Addie Leitner was that way. Like that, you literally could just be like, and go here, and she could go there. Like she'd go there, and she was great, and she was really, really good. And right now, I've got a couple kids like that right now that literally I could just like put them wherever, and they're gonna be fine. And it's so fun to have those kinds of players.
One of
it's
my-
so hard for those players to do though too.
Yeah.
Candelario's been in the league for that long.
One of my favorite things is like this isn't very, very common at all in any sport, but like you see it a little bit in high school soccer where there's just a kid that's better than everyone.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you run
love
5.
it.
And so he plays the wing, the striker,
It doesn't matter if you have 5 in the back, 3 in the back, 4,
Yeah.
3, 3, false 9. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you run. He can
Yeah.
play anywhere on the field that's not the goalie, and he'll be your best player.
Yeah.
And
My
I love
favorite-
watching it.
my
It's not very common
Yeah.
with pros and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but high school it's so fun to just watch guys that are just they're faster than everyone, they're bigger than everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Their skill moves, their left, their soft foot, everything about them is just
I love high school athletes that just by their senior year are just better than everybody else, and it's like they're playing a different like watching. I sat and watched the Nike EYBL games the last couple days because Cooper Flagg looks like he's playing against 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
Who was what was the video you just sent me the other
30
day? That guy.
Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
34 points.
That was
20
Nija-
rebounds.
that was Nija.
Yeah, exactly. Watching that game, I remember she hits a home run, and I'm like, oh well, this game's over now because she is
Yeah.
not giving up a base runner for the rest of this
Yeah,
game.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was like watching Nija play. It was like, okay, I'm playing softball. You guys are playing like wiffle ball. I have no
Right,
idea what
yeah.
you're doing, but yeah, I mean, you have those kids, and they come along like they're just so random, and there's so much time in between them, and you at least for me, I mean, you guys watch so much, you probably can find the diamond in the rough.
Like should
all the time.
Shadavian Bradley, who we, whatever he
Interviewed last week.
he could probably in a high school setting, especially at that Platte County team. If he was at a different team, like that was maybe a little bit worse than Platte County was, he could have played any position and been their best player. I mean, doesn't matter D line, O line,
I know
wide
who
receiver,
you're about-
tight end.
You know who you should really pull up? The Buchanan kid who was running for like 5 touchdowns a half in the playoffs.
Oh my goodness.
Trevor Klein, Ethan Klein.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, but
We should wrap this up soon. By the way.
Yeah, we
This is
yeah,
an hour
yeah.
and 55-minute podcast episode.
yeah, we got it. But yeah,
we can yeah.
I could
Edit
sit
it
there
down a
all
little
night
bit.
long if
I
I didn't
could
have
talk.
to edit this until
Yeah,
10
that's
a.m.
true.
tomorrow.
You do have to edit it.
we do want to say thank you so much for coming on though.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It was,
Well, no, I'm so happy to I'm happy you guys invited me, and you guys know I've been kind of, I can be kind of annoying too, and I'm like, hey, where you guys at?
I love
It-
well, because we
it's-
wanted to. We
It's not.
we
and
see
it's-
how much
it's not
you
anything
and like
big.
Yeah,
it's just hey, where you at?
because softball is it is a big scene. Like we talked about earlier in other podcasts that volleyball and football and all these things are big, but like every sport here is pretty big because there's so much talent. And
Yes.
it's just I think the one thing it's just been it's difficult when there's split seasons.
Yes,
but that's
and
one
I said,
thing
and
that
I get that.
if we can get closer with coaches and all of that stuff, I mean it's going to become so much easier to just cover these. Wow, that was
Yeah, he catches that, by the way.
Oh,
that is
jeez.
insane.
Oh, that is in
Yeah.
a state playoff game, too.
Wow.
That you have to. By the way, you have to pay to broadcast.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I didn't have
fast.
to pay
Oh, yeah.
$10.40 to watch
So
this, at
fast.
least.
I know.
So
It's-
fast. But yeah,
Our guys.
My big, and this is totally unrelated to what we were just talking about. My big, if I could have one thing in this job, it would be that we could do the state championships for free. Just let anybody watch it.
That would be great.
Because it's not only that, but it's like you look at, especially in Kansas, it's not even that they're doing a wonderful job at the broadcast.
No, it's
you're not
basically-
watching TNT.
It's
dude.
basically a GoPro
pretty much
that they're
And-
setting up, and you just get to watch it.
and it's not even really the fault of. Partly, it's not the fault of the company that's running it. It's really most of the time with these state games, it's the people, the crew is like two people who
And
are
they
getting
don't
paid
care.
$50 to be.
Who've never
I've
watched
been
a
there.
game all season.
Yeah. I watched.
Well, you might have,
Right.
but there's some of these guys I don't think
Right.
they do.
Oh, absolutely. But there's some games that I'll watch in the state playoffs, and I'm like,
you don't know who that guy is.
you didn't ask how to pronounce that name before the game?
Oh my
didn't
gosh!
ask?
Yes.
You did not prep for
Okay,
this.
by the way, and it's not, I understand that some coaches aren't the most approachable people, but if you walk up and you say, hey, I'm broadcasting this game.
Can you help me out with
can you-
pronunciations?
how do you say this?
Well,
Assistant coach.
I usually just ask them I'm like, hey, why don't you just read the names for me real fast?
Exa-
And then when
that's
when they start getting there, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna help you with this one, right?
Or when I get the lineup
because even
card
the easy ones sometimes are hard.
at state baseball for Kansas 2 years ago, every time that I would go down to grab the lineup card from a coach, I would sit there and read the lineup card back to them.
Yes.
And it takes 2 minutes.
And can you
If
read my
that.
handwriting? Especially if you're just taking a lineup card for me, can you read my handwriting? I know I've got atrocious handwriting,
scratch,
so I can imagine there's sometimes if they the announcer at the place that we're going or whatever, if they mess it up, I'll look at the girls. I'm like, that one's on me because my handwriting is horrible, and they're like, yeah, it is. So they're like, but he didn't ask you. You're right. He didn't ask you. You're right. He did it. But I'm just gonna tell you that one's on me. 'cause of my handwriting.
I remember my senior year.
It's just so
Avion
so
Web.
easy.
Avion Web. It was
Avian.
Avian.
Well-
Every game, and then I would go up to them, like, hey, it's
Avion.
and they would still mess up. I'm like,
Broadcaster
I don't
helping
even-
another broadcaster.
Yeah.
out real
Well,
quick.
I'm just like I said, sometimes even the easy ones are hard. So I was telling you earlier, my girl, my young lady, Anna. Well, you hand it to somebody. It's
Anna.
Anna. They all say Anna, and they all say Pastora, or how do they say it? They say it wrong. It's Anna Pastora.
Yeah.
So you don't really say the A in the Pastora either. It's Pastora.
Yeah.
And and her name would get it looks
Butchered.
easy on the lineup card,
And then it's not.
but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of way to go about it. Or like I said, you see things that are easy.
and
When
this-
you have a good announcer though,
Right.
you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're just spoiled forever.
Right.
Ever.
So our big thing is obviously the goal for us is to give these kids a platform, and when these kids, we want it to be not a spectacle per se, but when these kids say, "Oh, we played in the Metro Sports MoCan Game of the Week that week, and it looks good, it's a good product, their families enjoy it, and they can go back and watch this game and say, oh, this was enjoyable
For free.
and yeah, totally 100% for free. And if you look at our score bugs for baseball games, they have the pitcher's name, the hitter's name, all of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's put in, all of those stats get put in live. We
love having free time.
I spend 7 hours during prep sitting there putting all of the lower thirds together with these kids' names. This kid could have 7 at-bats.
We have to put in all the pictures just in case one of them gets put in.
Just in case. And it's like, yeah, that's a lot of our time that we weren't necessarily paid for.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, just for a kid's parents to go in and find that clip of us talking about their kid with that graphic up,
absolutely.
like that, it means, especially for sports like softball and volleyball and both boys and girls soccer, where they don't get that often.
No,
even baseball really doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basketball and football here. That's it.
Yes, and that can sometimes be kind of frustrating. I mean,
Right.
for the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
Like, it can be frustrating in that sense. High school, yes, it's basketball and football in this area.
Right.
But the thing is that people are starting to recognize that there's a lot of other really talented athletes, and there's a lot of other sports out there, and people will watch. Like,
I mean, we might have had the best female wrestler in the entire world.
Yeah,
in Kansas City. Yeah. And like,
and my big
you got
thing,
2 right now. You got a couple of, you got some really good ones in the area.
Yeah.
Still,
my big thing was always, when we're talking about the sports that we haven't done, like track, we didn't do softball, we didn't do a good job of girls soccer last year. And the big thing for us was, it is worse, in my opinion, if we do this event or we have, a player of the year. It's worse for us if it's obvious that we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, that it's wrong.
Than if we don't do it at all.
Yes.
I would rather get it right than do it and get it wrong.
Yes, and and that's, and my just recommendation would be to reach out to those of us that will help you, right?
Right.
So like, just like we talked about, that there's referees or that there's announcers or whatever, that they'll ask for help, right? And some are really approachable, some aren't. Same
Right.
thing with coaches, right? Some of us are really approachable and they're like, hey, yes, I will help you, and I'll help you do a good job with that. And then there's others that are like, no, but I want to make sure that you get it right.
Right.
Right? There's like, I'm not going to help you, but you better get it right, right? They're going to be the first one to tell you that you didn't get it right. You're like,
Right.
well, gee, thanks for the help, right? So, because of all the stuff that I do, I run into those people a lot that love to tell me where I messed up, but I'm like, I asked you for help.
Yeah, dude, we sent you an email.
Yeah, like I've
asking
sent you
if
text
you
messages.
wanted to be on this committee, or asking you
I have made phone calls
if there was
to you.
anything that we were missing, and you were just like,
Oh,
either
yeah.
didn't reply or were like, no, but when the list
No, I
comes
don't-
out, I'll sure be the first person to look at it.
Yes, and
But
there's a
happens
lot of those
often.
people out there, and I know you guys have to deal with that, and so I know I deal with it too. It's just one of those things that, like I said, I think just reaching out to those people, and my thing to coaches, right, is, hey, be approachable. They just want to get it right,
and if we had
that's all. They just want to get it right.
And if we had the stats to begin with, then we would have.
That's going to be the really easy part about doing awards now that we have a database for these things.
Oh yeah,
Is that
I didn't think about that.
That it's pretty hard to get the awards picks wrong if I know exactly
Everyone's
where to find
stats.
everybody's stats.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
that's a great. Like, I'm really excited about that for you guys. Like, I will say that is the number one thing. Like when I do Earl Award, which I think we have nailed it 2 years in a row with our selections. Madison Walker was by far and away the best kid in the area this year. I mean, the girl was she was just phenomenal, and last year Katie Chester, that girl was amazing as well. And I think, and even with our sub awards that we have, I think like I said, I really feel like we did a good job. But I will tell you this, that some kids were left off the list because I simply couldn't get statistics.
Also, another thing that is annoying is like sometimes if like.
But then the coach wanted to say, hey, why wasn't my kid nominated? Because you didn't nominate them.
Yeah. Also, sometimes it'll be like a team will have like 4 really good players, but because they only made it so far, they only nominate 1 or 2, and it's like, come on, like they're like they're. I remember 2 years ago we were talking about how the district schedules played out.
Yeah.
Staley, Oak Park, Park Hill South, Northtown, Park Hill. All of them were great teams, but because all of them were in the same district, you could only have a few kids be nominated. So it's like. Only one of the Bell brothers could have been on team.
So
on the first team,
so
and
you're
it's
like,
come
so
on, they
then you
both
can only
deserve
make
first.
so much like, I don't know. Other sports are different. I know each coaches association does things differently. In softball, you have to make all district to make all region. You have to make all region to make all state. Yep. So if you have a loaded district, well, then you don't really get the best 17 kids on first team all state. You get the best 17 kids who were on each list, right? So like,
do you want to talk about Lizzie Bain?
I will.
Being in those meetings at state when you're looking at it and you're saying, but this kid was the best kid.
And it wasn't close.
And it wasn't close, but she made second team in her district because her district was loaded. You know, I had a kid like that happened twice. 2 years in a row, her junior and senior year.
Lizzie Bain played at Staley, girls basketball player. Lights out. She was the matchup. She was the best player on that team. And it wasn't particularly close. And she... the coach's vote comes in. I'm really good friends with a head coach that got the results back, and Lizzie got screwed.
Yeah, I hate that when that happens.
By a school.
A coach that
I'm talking. She was number one on
because of the way you rank them. You can mess with
lists.
rankings to really jack with a kid.
Right.
Yeah,
she was number one on like 8 coaches' lists, and then wasn't on someone's top 15.
Yeah,
and so she didn't make like
she
top
dropped
4.
Yeah.
or something, and it was like. This girl
was the best player.
Every team that this kid played, every single coach, with the exception of the 2 that just don't like the school, are going to be like, that's one of the best players.
Yeah, and that is something that you do sometimes run into, and that's why, like I said, I do Earl Award the coaches stuff. You just have to hope that somebody's willing to stand up in the meeting and say, no, this is wrong. And then some places, some coaches associations don't do it in person. So you can't do that. Right. So like, if you don't do the meeting in person, it's really hard to stand up and say, that's not right.
Come on.
You know, when they're just submitting a ballot and you're just taking scores off a ballot, it's really hard to stand up and say, that's not okay. But hopefully all you can do is hope that that's what's happening. Right. And somebody's standing up saying, I see what you did. That's wrong. Right. And
because it's not about you, it's about these players.
Yeah, it's. I get what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. You think you're fighting for your kid.
Yeah.
The fact is your kid's not as good as this kid, and that's not your kid's fault.
No,
it's not your fault either. But you can't worry about the parent.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's what sometimes you go into these things, and that's what coaches will say. Well, I have to. How am I going to be able to explain this to the parent? You don't.
You don't have to. That's not your job.
Be like, hey, I'm only one vote. I can only do what I did. What I did the most I could do.
You can't even vote for your own kids, so you have to say, all I can do is put it out there and talk about her and hope that they vote for her. They didn't vote for her.
Right.
Like, and I've had to have those tough conversations.
And she's great.
Doesn't change you as a player. Just means you didn't get the votes. Like
and use it as fuel. Like,
and that's something that we talk about. You know, like I said, with NFCA and with Missouri Coaches Association and everything like that is. It's just like, hey, it's not always going to be perfect, but we got to make sure that everybody's doing things the right way for the right reasons.
I remember one week.
You know, like we always talk about, I always give, hopefully nobody in like Texas is listening, but I always like, or good for you guys if they are. But I always give it a hard time because Texas, whenever we go to vote for All-American, Texas votes for Texas. Right. That's it. And one thing that I said, Missouri, we just entered into a partnership with NFCA. We were the first Missouri State Coaches Association, Softball Coaches Association was the first state to enter into a contract with the NFCA.
Yeah.
As a dual member. They've been wanting to do this for years at the high school level. They do it at each one of the college levels, but they hadn't gotten to the high school realm yet.
Sure.
And I said, let's make this happen. So we did it. And so we literally like went from having 38 members of NFCA to now we have 160 members in NFCA. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, hey guys, we literally double every other state that has any kind of membership. We double everybody, even Texas. We can outvote them. I'm like, we could, if we wanted to, because of our numbers, we could just vote Missouri and we could just, run the table.
Right.
And I said, but I hope that's not what you do. Right? I said, I hope you go and you do your homework and you make the best player. And I will tell you this, when we did our all regions were very good. And I was very proud of our coaches in our association. I was super proud of them because I was like, hopefully they heard me, but hopefully they're just good people and they were doing the right
Yeah.
thing
You
in the
didn't
first
need to
place.
tell
Right?
them that
But I
anyways.
didn't need to tell them that, but I was so happy, and I even told everybody that. I was like, I'm so happy because our all region, I think the right kids from Missouri made it, but we also picked kids from Nebraska. We also picked kids from Iowa. Like, we saw that there were more than that because almost every one of our Missouri membership coaches voted, and Iowa and Nebraska don't have a huge amount of NFCA members. Like they,
Just don't.
we could have made it like a Texas list. We could have made it like a Texas region, and we didn't. And I was very happy with our membership. So you just have to hope that you have those kinds of people in the room all the time.
Yeah.
I remember one week, it was just a mental gaffe, writing a basketball top 25, and I put Liberty North over Park Hill South, and Liberty North
They go crazy.
It got 30 rocked by Park Hill South the next week, and I get a text, and it's a picture. Park Hill South's head coach printed a photo of our top 25 list and put it on every kid's locker.
I'm so glad they
nice.
use that as motivation.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Good for them.
I was like, and they all liked the post too. So I was like, I guess all is well, and I fixed it the next week.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I'll say
that's-
before we sign off,
Yeah.
one, thank you for coming.
Oh,
and
thank
two,
you. I appreciate it.
As well as the stat page, and this is football's because I haven't put all the schedules in.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody's schedules are put in full. And every night.
That
every
is pretty
night,
awesome.
They will be updated with all of the information, all of the stats for those games. Give us
Scores.
24 hours.
Well, yeah, because
On the
I'm
stat.
like you do know what you just took on there because like we play like 4 games a week, so
I know.
yeah.
And
so I'm like,
the big thing
for me
with-
to have my stats updated by the end of the week is like my goal.
with baseball, a lot of guys
Just
were
fine.
like, "You haven't updated the stats yet," and it's like,
There's
like,
been
dude, it is
400
the coach that is
games.
sending this to
like,
me.
this
I want
isn't-
them to get it right, so I'm going to give them. If it's been over a week, I might ask.
Yeah.
But if it's like within 48 hours, the stat leaderboard probably isn't accurate yet because I missed this game, and then every 2 weeks, especially for sports like baseball, softball,
Soccer.
basketball, and soccer, where you're playing tournaments, we are going to every 2 weeks have an internal audit where we go back and make sure that everything is in correctly, because there's a lot of times where it's like you play
space.
a tournament and you don't know who you're playing in that tournament yet.
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
That's how tournaments work.
Yeah.
And then you play a game and for some reason it slips through and
Yeah.
we miss it. And then I'm going back and looking at the standings and I'm like, yeah, it says they're 15-0. It says they're 14-0. What game did I miss? And then it just makes it's a check and balance, and we're just
Yeah.
going to make sure
Sounds
that we're
awesome.
good with that. I'm really excited for it. It's a lot of work to upkeep that.
Yeah.
But with scores are not hard. Stats are a little bit more difficult, but we're going to make sure that for all of those games that's in, and then we'll have a Game of the Week series for softball as well. So
That is
a
awesome.
lot of really cool stuff, and it's really
Appreciate
been
it.
Yeah, always. And it's a goal of ours to keep expanding into that world and working with you guys whichever way we can. But once again, really thank you for coming. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
Let's hope to God that the sound recorded, because I had to like upload it all
Please.
to my computer. And yeah. Oh yeah, this has been the Come Up Top Pod. We'll see you on. You see this on Monday. We'll see you on Friday for episode 4. Thank you.